And just like that, we are back, and I am back with my next guest, Mr. Mike Hasted. I got you muted. I'm sorry about that. There we go.
How you doing?
I'm doing good, Mike. How are you doing?
Not too bad, not too bad. A beautiful day in America.
Yep, yep. Uh, you were brought to us. Wow, we got a terrible echo going, but you were brought to us. You were introduced to us by.
Tim,
I'm sorry.
I think Tim by Lead Fire.
Yeah, Timothy. Right. Yeah,
hmm
and you have started a new nonprofit. Can you tell us a little about that?
Well, I mean, we've been in existence since 2018, but so our nonprofit was based on putting veterans back to work, right? And we've seen that we've seen the opportunity that when uh, and the rumblings that everything was going to be winding down. What and when that winds down from them wars, what are going to happen with those veterans? As far as jobs and understanding and transitioning into the workforce, into civilian life. And so we started a nonprofit um, called U.S. Veterans Alliance, and we wanted to get get veterans back into working in government contracts because they've been on bases, they know, they know themselves around there, they would be excuse me, easy to um, get accessible, but we wanted to train them on getting government contracts and opening up their own business and taking advantage of and creating that business that the government wants to have veterans. They'd rather have veterans working on there than a lot of civilians, just because of that the veterans know the bases. They know some of the standards, right? There's some differences, that that happen on base rather than in civilian life. So uh, that was in 2018 that we started it, and in 2019, um, right right before COVID, we got a government contract at Nellis Air Force Base, right? And it was for like $2.1 million to redo an R&D building from stuff that was going to be coming back from Afghanistan and Iraq and stuff, and they were going to repurpose, but the building needed to be brought up. Well, when COVID came, they canceled a lot of those contracts. They just shut down the bases, everything. So that pretty much, you know, uh, like put a a big, you know,
Kibosh
down.
on everything.
What was that?
Kibosh on everything.
Right. And so we said, well, what are we going to do? And so um, our CFO Matt Levine, um, he's like, well, we could apply for an EDIL, right? And it was an economic development. It was being given out during COVID and some of that COVID money, and we could have all went down that whole thing and um and used the money and used it inappropriately, but we got $175,000, right? And we said, what are we going to do with that $175,000? Well, me and my brother, which is the president of U.S. Veterans Alliance, um, we were like, well, the state of Iowa was going into doing hemp and CBD, right? And and so I reached out to the Secretary of Agriculture in the state of Iowa, um, because a lot of the different states, they weren't, there wasn't a lot of activity, but Iowa was still kind of an open state, right? a lot of the Midwest states. I often say, you know, um, uh, they said um, that a farmer's going to ask the question, what the hell is social distancing, right?
Right.
Well, they social distance all the time. They're way out on the farm. They're not around people. So, we went into the state and we said, hey, we think we can bring vets. We think that we could bring vets to help, set up a program to train vets on how to do farming and grow CBD in the state of Iowa. And the Secretary of Ag's like, oh, well, we've got somebody I want to talk, you want to talk to. And so it was Senator Tom Shipley. He was a state senator, and he wrote the bill for him. And so we talked, and me and my brother went over the thought process of what we can do. And he's like, "Well, why don't you come over and we'll have dinner?" So we went to his hometown, had dinner, everything like that. And he's like, "I like this. Will you come sign the bill with the governor with me?" Right? And so we went, we signed the bill, we applied, we've got our license, we started growing, right? And then the next year we recruited farmers. We got 3 farmers and we grew 80 acres. And, I mean, people don't realize that Charlotte's Web in their whole program, their whole thing grow on 60 acres to fund their whole thing. So when we went to 80 acres and we seen some of the problems, we had to step back. We took our military, because we're trying to do it as a military movement, right? And so we had to step back and we told the state, this is not for the American farmer. CBD is not for the American farmer. It's not going to be advantageous to the state to promote this. But we will say that if we went into an industrial and created industrial um, hemp program, that it could be very viable to the state. And that was in 2021. And so the senator, he's like, "Well, do you think you could do a presentation?" Because we're debating on whether we're going to up the acres or not. And so we went down and we met with the senator. He's a Republican, and his counterpart, a Democrat, that helped sponsor the bill. And we explained to them, right, what industrial hemp can do. And they were like, "Well, do you want to walk over to the subcommittee and get in there and put your spiel into those senators?" And they're like, "Yeah, we'll do that. We ain't got no problem." I mean, how I became a Marine was I wrote Congress and got in on a congressional waiver. I mean, I'm retired from the Marine Corps. I lost an eye in the military, so it. I have no fear. Politicians are just like any other normal people. People are fearful of politicians. Well, if you speak to them correctly and you speak to them the right way, and and speak to them like human beings, usually they're going to be understanding and want to work with somebody. So people have to remember they're there because we put them there, right? We just can't come up with huge false false things. And if we can present it right and give the right opportunities, we the people are who run the government. The government doesn't run the people. And so I think a lot of people get that confused. But so we've been on this path of creating industrial hemp, and we built a profit company off of our nonprofit called U.S. Freedom Farms. And we've put a video out. We've got some videos. I can give you some websites to bring them up. If you want to go to our nonprofit website, it's www.usveteransalliance.org. And then our profit company is www.usfreedomfarms.com, and it explains about what we've built and what we've created as far as sustainability building with sustainable products, and food security. Right, those are the two main things that are going to be happening in America, and what we've been trying to push veterans to think like. Because us as veterans, we go overseas, and a lot of us, our jobs were to interact with cultures to become, to become better, right? To help those cultures. Well, we don't use those tactics in America. We don't come and provide the opportunity for a veteran to come into a rural community or into their communities and help build those communication lines. We do that all over the world, but we fail to use our veterans to help establish communication and logistics to help better the inside of America. Once veterans get out of their or get out of the military, they're pretty much they're on their own, right? They're supposed to figure that out. Well, that's where we're trying to bridge that, right? And bridge that opportunity and show them that, hey, we can build a business, right? You could build a business. Let us help you build a business in food security or sustainability, and and go after some of these opportunities, um, that I mean that are there. We have lumber products. We have insulation. Um, we want to be able to teach a veteran how to get a government job, but also go into their community and say, hey, if there's a contract out there, I'd like to bid on it, and I'd like to start my own business and then, build this from there. So that's a lot of what we do. And just like with Tim, Tim down at Lead Fire, uh, one of my friends we met through a mutual friend called Asmith. He's up in the Northwest and he does holistic medicine. Um, and referred me to Tim because Tim was going through some hard times. But then Tim reached out and I explained to him what we do, and Tim was like, "Holy moly, man! I work with you know the city councils and chamber of commerce and everything, and San Antonio is looking to upgrade a lot of this different stuff, and you guys could fit right in." Yeah, I mean, people don't understand that 90% of your vision can be made with industrial hemp.
Yep.
90%. That's like amazing.
Oh yeah.
So U.S. Veterans Alliance is basically a communication and logistics coordinator, right, for veterans to opportunities, and running those things down. It led me to another great organization called the Arise Foundation. They are Native American veterans. They're based they're based in Missouri. Will, the one that he's in Oklahoma, but they also have partnerships to Tunnel to Towers, right? And what we're trying to do, they love because they want to show Native Americans and go. We work in Native American communities too, right? So there's a lot of Native Americans. I'm on Keeley Radio, Keeley Radio in South Dakota, the Lakota tribe. I'm on their radio station a lot on Sundays. I haven't been on there in a couple of months, but I go on there and I communicate to try and just keep the word going that if you want information, come to us. We want to be able to put you in the right position to be successful because it's here. This is the time for us to take advantage. And I don't like to use the word advantage, but you know, I guess that's the only way that you're going to be able
Grab
to.
the opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, the opportunity for us as veterans to put our stamp into America is more now than it's ever been. Um, the country is really behind a lot of veterans. There's the statistics are done, 1 in 3 people know a veteran, right? I often tell this. McDonald's brags, oh, 1 in 8 people know uh, a McDonald's employee. Well, 1 in 3 people know a veteran,
Yeah.
right? I mean, so why are we not promoting that more,
Most
right?
of us in some way are relatives with the veteran, but
Yeah,
hey, Mike, um, I want to thank you very much for being a part of the 2025 Mission for Healthy Heroes. You and I should get together again, and I can bring you on to one of the regular podcasts, and we
yeah,
can talk a lot more about what we got going on. Can you give us your website one more time?
yeah. It's www.usveteransalliance.org or www.usfreedomfarms.com.
All right, my friend, I will get that posted on the website this upcoming week. I will reach out to you again. I'd love to talk to you a little bit more and see how we can continue to support the great work you're doing. Thank you
Yeah,
for being a
no
part of the
problem.
program.
I appreciate it. I hope I wasn't over your time too much. I know you had a few minutes.
No, absolutely, man. You're doing just fine. But we are in that session where we got a lot of guests.
Yep,
But
yep, yep.
I do want to thank you, my friend.
I
Thank you so
appreciate it.
very
Have
much.
a great day.
You too. Goodbye.
Bye.
Joining us next is a really, really good friend. She's also a mission partner. Really, really talented individual, and somebody I just don't get to talk to near enough. Johnny, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, Zach. How are you? It's so great to talk with you again. It's been a minute. We don't get to talk enough.
Yeah, yeah. It seems like at times, you just get to talk to whoever because you got that. When it comes to this part of this, this part of year, that time just seems to disappear quite a bit. But so you are running. You started a program called Differently Abled Entertainment. Can you tell us a little bit about what you are doing?
So, we work with marginalized groups to get better exposure in the entertainment industry. And so you're like, well, what does that have to do with veterans? Well, veterans are one of the marginalized groups that we work with. And we've had a lot of veterans be a part of our organization. Some of our founding members, founding board members were veterans. And so it's something just like you guys were just talking about how like 1 in 3 people know a veteran. But yet, why don't you hear about that more? Why isn't that talked about more? Why aren't they represented better in TV and media?
Yeah,
I did a little bit of research recently, and then it was really interesting because then it was perfect for being a part of this also. I was doing it just for my own self to know some of the numbers, um, as far as like the groups that we're working with, like what are the numbers that they're represented? And when I was trying to find numbers for how veterans are represented in TV and media, it was just like, there's nothing really on that. There is one organization that I found, though. It's called Veterans in Media and Entertainment. And in 2023, they placed 60 veterans in roles, in film roles. And that's great, but I still feel like that's such a small number. 60 people, like that's almost like, I mean, you think of a TV or a film or whatever that you see and think of how many people that you see in those. And so I mean, every little bit counts, but that's what I do. And that's where when I see those numbers, it just makes me realize that yes, this is important. I mean, we work with a lot of different groups. We work, with a lot of people with disabilities. And so, but there's a lot of disabled vets. Like there's a lot of, as far as within the groups that we work with, there's there's a lot of spots where things overlap.
right,
And as far as
right.
like,
And just for an example, our last guest, he lost his eye. You know, there's a lot. It's an unfortunate fact, but it's a fact. There becomes a lot of of our heroes who end up with ability conflicts, who do have those struggles with ability. There's a lot of our nation's heroes, the firefighters, the police officers, the TBI that struggle. You know, how many damn cop shows are there that could use real cops? You know, ones who have actually suffered
Hmm.
and done some of these things. You know, the firefighters. Hell, you have a whole franchise about Chicago alone.
Yep.
So, you know, this is a chance really to take and step out there and say, hey, you know what? We're gonna take and we're gonna support these individuals.
Exactly.
So
Um, mhm.
no, go on ahead, please.
Yeah, no, I was just, agreeing, I mean, we need to support them. They need support, but helping people, just understand and see them more. Like that's where representation doesn't only help the people that's being represented, it helps the other people understand what they need, or that their needs, and possibly in a lot of times like their needs are not being met. And that's a real sad fact when it comes to a lot of our veterans. I don't feel that they, you know, get the help that they need and the help that they deserve, considering they put their lives on the line so we can do what we want.
Yeah, yeah, you know, it when somebody goes to work every day and they don't know if they're going to be coming home, when they go you know, when they go off and go to serve our country, and they don't know if they're ever going to come home, and when they get home, if there's something that, you know, has happened to them, and their bodies are a little bit different, wouldn't doesn't it make sense to really take and push out their what they can do
Mhm,
still and help support them that way? don't
mhm,
don't sit there and say, oh my god, you don't have an arm, you can't do anything no more. Let's put
yep,
them to work in a way that it maybe is something that they truly love in the entertainment business. Because one of the things that you really make a point at is, you got to remember, entertainment's not just sitting in front of a camera. You know, there's also other things, gaffers and
yep,
showrunners and all these other. It's not just people who are sitting there, you know, blowhards that sit in front of cameras for 22 hours. Actually, this year I got lucky. I'm only going to be on for about 18 and a half, but you know, so I got other people who are going to take over for me a little bit, but still, you know, there are so many things that
yeah.
encompass entertainment, right?
Yeah, I mean, exactly. And I mean, and that's what we work with people as far as within our organization. It's not just about like the actors or the people that you, like you said, that want to be in front of the camera. Because in order for anything to happen in front of the camera, it takes like 5 times as many people behind the camera to get anything done. And then you have like the editors and all of that, that maybe they're not working on the set, but then they're in charge of taking care of everything that happens in what's called post. Like
Yeah.
that's where all the editing and all the special effects get added in. And so those are all, it takes a big team of people to make a production successful. And
Right.
so
And
yeah, there are a lot of jobs that anybody
yet
could have.
rumor has it that there was a gentleman named, oh god, what was his name, Wyatt Earp, that was in Hollywood as a, you know, just training and telling people about the lifestyle. He was like, you know, rumor has it is he trained John Wayne. You know, everybody talks about John Wayne being one of the greatest actors. Well, he was, you know, he got tips from Wyatt Earp, if you believe that story. But, you know, I mean, there, you can be Well, this is a terrible example, but it's just an example of the things that happen when in the making of The Godfather. You had the mafia right there in the making of The Godfather. They're kind of doing some things you didn't want them doing, but you know what? They were there. They wanted to make it as realistic. And who better to make your production what you realistic than bring in somebody who's got that talent, that experience, right?
Exactly. I mean, there's nothing speaks louder than, real personal experience. And that is, when you get, that realness that that we want to see when we're watching something. Realness comes from realness. Imagine that.
Yeah, yeah. When you have when you have a show that was based in the 1800s, and there's a guy walking down the street with the cell phone.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
I'd like to
Not unless
think
it's like a
that.
time traveler type of show or
Yeah,
something.
hey, why not? Anything could happen, and we definitely know that about TV. Uh, Johnny, tell me, what are some of the things that you need help with to continue your mission?
Well, we always need people that want to be involved in the things that we're doing, but also, I mean, we right now we're really currently seeking sponsors for this next year with some of the productions that we're doing, and so yeah, we're looking for support in that, and but also, you know, it comes in many different ways for those that are local around the Tucson area. That's where we're based out of. And we are starting chapters in Montana and in Nebraska. And so we're looking for people also that maybe want to start chapters in other places. Like, we can only do so much in our little bubble. It's my goal to grow this organization to where it is in every state and maybe even other countries, and possibly several cities in different states. We are based out of Tucson. We're getting ready. We're in the talks right now. It's nothing official, but we are working with some people about possibly getting a chapter started in Phoenix. Um, my ideal would be that we have our Tucson chapter, we have a Phoenix chapter, and then maybe down the road we have a Flagstaff chapter. So then we have Southern, Middle, and Northern Arizona all covered. But those are goals. And I'd like that in every state. I believe that the more chapters that we have, then obviously the more people that we can reach and the more that our message and our mission will be shared.
This is something, and I'm not reaching into the realm of politics. I'm trying not to reach too far into there. But I know that there's been a lot of tax breaks given to the studios in Los Angeles. Is this creating tax breaks for other studios in other areas that we can find beneficial?
Possibly. And then for like I know Arizona, they've just passed a bunch of new film incentives because they're trying to bring more film into Arizona. And so it's kind of a state by state thing. I know Montana right now is really starting to do a lot more independent film, and that's why we're expanding out into there. And actually, doing some research, I found out that Montana is, like as far as the independent film goes, it's like the highest paying state.
Well, I'll tell you this: 3 weeks ago, I was in Montana for just about a 36-hour period, and it's huge.
Yeah.
And you see everything in well, when it's not a blizzard and you can't even see the hood of your car, in which
Mhm.
of course that's what I ended up with. But
Oh no,
it is so beautiful. It is
it
such a
really is.
beautiful state, and there's so much rich history,
It
so
is.
many different. It's like being in three states. It really is.
I would
You know,
agree. I lived up there when I was younger, and I still have connections out there. That's how the chapter's getting started out there. But yeah, I lived in Great Falls and then out around Fort Benton. And Fort Benton's a really small town, but it's full of just really fascinating history. And it's probably one of like my favorite little small towns ever. And I went to a summer camp up around Flathead Lake, and talk about beautiful. I mean, that is just, yeah, Montana, it really is. And it's huge, like you said. I mean, there's a reason that they call it Big Sky Country, because it is. It's like you feel like you're seeing like everything everywhere. Unless, I mean, especially when you're out in like the areas that, like, because it's a nice mix of like the plains and the mountains. And so when you're out there in like the big plainy spot, but like you can still like see all the mountains, and I don't know, it's beautiful. Montana is pretty incredible.
Yeah, it was kind of funny. I left from Greeley to go and see my uncle before he passed, and it was a 14-hour trip that ended up turning into a 17-hour trip due to the weather. But and it's funny. I was running on time until about the last 150 miles, and the last 150 miles took me 4 hours.
Oh wow.
So yeah, that was a lot of fun. So um, yeah, yeah, but it was beautiful, and I'm glad that I was able to go, and I was glad that I was able to spend there. Spend the last night of my uncle's life with him. It means a lot to me. Um,
I'm glad you were there for that too. I'm sorry for your loss.
no, thank you, my dear. We're going to keep working and keep trying to support you. And once again, Differently Abled Entertainment is a 501c3, and they are looking for your help. And you can help them by participating in the Community Pay It Forward program. Very simple. You see the QR. Look, I'll even cover my face because I'm tired of looking at it. So just use this QR code right here. Scan this QR code. When it opens to a form where you can it says find a partner. You can find a partner that you need to shop, that you would like to shop with. Visit them. When you do business with them, they're going to give us a referral for you doing business with them. We turn 75% of that referral over to Differently Abled Entertainment for them to continue the great work they are doing, to be able to bring some of these first responders, some of these veterans, and get them hired to be that help pushing for them, to be that support staff to help get them hired and help them create other abilities. So it is great to see you. I
Great to
really
see you
wish
too. Thank you so much for letting me be on here
yeah,
today.
I appreciate it. And you know what? Again, I just want to say thank you very much for being part of the 2025 Mission for Healthy Heroes.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for everything that you're doing. Thank you for being one of our partners and supporting us and everything that you do for not only us, but all the other organizations that you work with. Thank
Hey,
you.
you know what? I'm only here because you guys do such great work. So, but we will talk to you very soon, okay?
All right. Have a great day.
You too.
All right.
Once again, you can support Differently Abled Entertainment by the Shop, Click, and Pick program. Introducing Shop, Click, and Pick, the simplest way to support those doing good in communities everywhere. We understand that shopping is a necessity, but with a slight adjustment, you can make a huge difference without spending any extra money. Here's how it works. Please visit communitypayitforward.us and navigate to the Find Your Partners tab. Discover our verified giving partners, which are trusted allies ready to meet your needs. Shop with any of the partners that resonate with you. Click a picture of the receipt or invoice, then pick the mission partner you wish to support and use their QR code to send the receipt directly to us. After that, all you have to do is sit back and enjoy your purchases, knowing that you've made a meaningful change for someone in need. Community Pay It Forward amplifies your business's impact by sharing the story of those who require your services. rallying support for those who need us all. Because no one needs to go it alone when we all come together. Anissa Hudak and I had our wires crossed, so she was unable to join us earlier. She will be joining us here in just a little bit, in just a couple hours. She is also donating to the program, and you can be in the running. We will draw, as long as we have a couple of the cards, as long as we got a couple of the forms, somebody is going to take home this prize. And it is, whoa, I don't want to be seen. There we go. It's a year membership to Phoenix Women Healing Yoga. Okay, it's valued at $1,200. It's virtual, so it doesn't matter where you are. But it happens in the comfort of your own home, includes 4 or more live yoga therapy sessions a month. Recorded yoga therapy sessions available 24/7, pose breakdown videos, including chair yoga poses. Education, mini courses on how to handle symptoms and situations, resources, and peer support community. This is not fitness based yoga, this is yoga therapy. Slow flow, restorative, and therapeutic. Although you will achieve a full body workout with each session, the focus is not on fitness. Our goal is to move trauma, stress, and other baggage out of your body and increase your bandwidth. Feel lighter, present, and more focused and relaxed. This is for women. This is great for women with PTSD, C style PTSD, trauma, anxiety, or depression, chronic high stress, chronic illness. This is also uh, this is also perfect for women who are caretakers, first responders, or military, active or retired, high stress jobs or lives, medical fields, doctors and nurses, DV or sexual trauma survivors. And we've had a couple of those who've joined us today. Essentially, any woman who wears a cape, and I can't read that last part out loud. Well, I will. And this is Anissa saying this, not me. And we all wear a cape of some sort. Please make sure that you contact Anissa Hudak at phoenixwomenhealing.com for further information, questions, and to get started. And someone today is going to walk away with this $1,200 value simply by scanning the QR code that you see in the corner right now, filling out that form. You can donate $10, $20, $25, $50, whatever. We're going to put that money to work helping a couple veteran organizations. We're going to help build, we're going to help widen a front door, and build a wheelchair ramp for a current service person. We are also supporting veterans, honoring veterans. Look, I brought these down and I've been looking for a chance to talk about them. This is what Veterans Honoring Veterans does. This is one that was given to my father about 2 years ago. It's just a little statuette, as you can see, so beautifully detailed. It's got all of his information. Tech 4, Jerry Clayton, U.S. Army, 71 to 74, Vietnam era. He served in Berlin. It's also got the Army logo on it. It is just beautifully put together. Gorgeous. And as you're going to see a little bit later on tonight, posthumously, and I've talked about him a lot over the last couple of weeks. I lost one of the most important men in my life. Trying to fight back the tears here, folks. Lost my Uncle Barry. And Bart came to the Loveland Library and honored my family by giving my Uncle Barry his own. This is the one for the Marines. Private First Class Barry Clayton, U.S. Marines, 65 to 69, Vietnam. It's got the 3 ribbons for the Vietnam service, the Purple Heart, and the Vietnam ribbon on it. It's also got the U.S. Marine logo on it, just showing that, Uncle Barry was a Marine. You can see the difference in each of these 2 statues. This is Army and this is Marines. Each one is different, but the thing is that each one is the same thing. It all means our heroes, they get honored. They get that satisfaction in knowing that they're remembered. Someone's here. Can't believe I made it through the entire showing the entire ceremony this morning without shedding a tear. I pick up his statuette and there it goes. There goes the waterworks. So thank you so much, Bart, for doing that for my family. Thank you for supporting us as we try to support you. Just as we showed you the QR code for differently abled entertainment, Veterans Honoring Veterans is also one of the organizations that we support. Right here's their QR code. You can scan that QR code. You can shop with them, and when you shop with them, every purchase becomes a donation. Please scan the QR code, and if you would like to learn some more about Community Pay It Forward, get a hold of me on my For My card. By the way, we're still giving away 2 For My cards today. And again, it's very simple. This is a form that just says, what would you like to say to our heroes? Again, Thomas McNichols. All he said was, thank you for your support. He chose to give a $10 donation. Thank you very much for that, Thomas. But you don't have to. This isn't a state lottery. All right? No purchase necessary. You're going to win just supporting what we are doing on this event, this 22-hour event, the 2025 Mission for Healthy Heroes. With the Mission for Healthy Heroes, our goal is to talk alternatives, talk personal preference, talk about success. What works for you isn't always going to work for others. We ask you to join us if any of these sound familiar. Do you run activity programs? Activities like art therapy, music therapy, animal assisted therapy, outdoor adventure programs, sports and fitness programs, gardening and horticulture programs. These programs have been proven to reduce stress and anxiety, boost mood and increase serotonin levels, improve social skills and reduce feelings of isolation while enhancing self-esteem and creativity. They also provide a healthy outlet for emotional expression. What about a structured or heavily regimented program? These programs are designed to provide clear framework and routines that help individuals develop skills and stability in their mental health journey. Cognitive behavioral therapy, residential treatment programs, support groups with scheduled meetings, vocational training, and rehabilitation programs, or day treatment programs with partial hospitalization programs. Encourage accountability and regular participation. Help individuals establish daily routines for stability. They provide peer support and they reduce isolation. They also build life skills for long term recovery while focusing on measurable progress. This next one comes with its fair share of controversy. Safe, controlled psychedelic treatments. These treatments use psychedelic substances in a controlled environment under medical supervision to address mental health challenges. Psilocybin therapy, MDMA, ketamine therapy, LSD microdosing programs, in therapeutic or ceremonial settings. The benefits are vast, including allowing patients to process deep-seated trauma. It improves emotional insight and understanding. It reduces symptoms of anxiety, depression, and PTSD. And it also promotes feelings of connection and empathy, while catalyzing long-lasting behavior and emotional change. Our final example for this video is mindfulness retreat programs. Mindfulness retreat focus on deep relaxation, meditation, and self-awareness, often in serene and natural settings. Silent meditation retreats, mindful movement retreats, nature-based mindfulness retreats, healing wellness retreats, and mindfulness for trauma programs. They enhance self-awareness and emotional regulation. They reduce stress and improve focus. They boost resilience against depression and anxiety, promote physical relaxation and mental clarity, and encourage spiritual growth and inner peace. Is there something missing from this list? Tell us about your program and all the good that you're doing, working to support our heroes and their battles with mental health difficulties. If you scan the QR code below, it allows us to discuss how working together will help so many. Please join us on February 22nd for Mission for Healthy Heroes. Healthier tomorrows for our heroes today. Introducing Shop, Click, and Pick, the simplest way to support those doing good in communities everywhere. We understand that shopping is a necessity, but with a slight adjustment, you can make a huge difference without spending any extra money. Here's how it works. Please visit communitypayitforward.us and navigate to the Find Your Partners tab. Discover our verified giving partners, which are trusted allies ready to meet your needs. Shop with any of the partners that resonate with you. Click a picture of the receipt or invoice, then pick the mission partner you wish to support and use their QR code to send the receipt directly to us. After that, all you have to do is sit back and enjoy your purchases, knowing that you've made a meaningful change for someone in need. Community Pay It Forward amplifies your business's impact by sharing the story of those who require your services, rallying support for those who need us all. Because no one needs to go it alone when we all come together. Again, I want to thank everyone and plead with you. Please, 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 please scan the QR code. Give us a message to share with our heroes. Donate if you can. We're not, you know, we do have plans that we want to help veterans in the community. Coming up in about 5 minutes, we have our really good friend Les Simpson is going to join us with J.W. Wilson. And then after that, at the top of the next hour, we've got a brand new friend of mine in which I need to make an amendment because I screwed up and copy and pasted the wrong stuff. But, I kind of started working pretty early this morning. Well, I guess it's early to some people. But I had the wrong email address for Thomas E. Long. It's tlong@veteransbizconnect.com. tlong@veteransbizconnect.com. It is not whatever the hell I had on there before. What I had on there before didn't even make sense. So he asked me quite correctly, where did you get that from? And well, Thomas, I think maybe it worked for a politician. Let me try it. Brainworm? I don't know. Maybe. Just saying. Brainworm? But anyway, Veteran Business Connect. I am extremely excited to learn about this new mission that they've got, which focuses on veteran-owned businesses and businesses that take care of veteran-owned businesses. Look, Thomas and I are going to have a lot of conversations because there is a lot of synergy and a lot of things, like my next guest, that, he is a business owner. He is a veteran. He has joined us for all 4 years of our program. This is his fourth episode doing this. And look, like I said, veteran businessman. He's got so many irons in the fire, but all of them are about taking care of yourself, whether it's taking care of yourself spiritually or health wise, or now learning. There's a new way to not just learn, but make it stick. Because the way that we were taught to learn, it didn't work, did it? And we're also going to be joined by J.W. Wilson. So, we're going to be learning a lot, but he's off the phone now. So I'm going to go on ahead and I'm going to bring him on. Hello, Les. I've got you muted. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, are you there?
I'm here. How are you, sir?
That's what I'm trying to get on.
Okay, the one that I sent at 109 is console, and that will get you on.
Okay, that's what I'm trying to get on, but it says I can't. Let me just try. Are you on?
Yes.
All right. So let me try it. Let me just try it again. Oh, here's something different. It says copy link.
Oh, that means he's on an Apple, Les, and he's got to copy the link to the. He's got to copy the link to.
Zach's explaining it. Just be quiet for a second. What?
Yeah, because he's using an Apple device, he has to copy it to their default browser.
Oh, because you're using Apple, you have to copy it and put it on your default browser.
Which, for some reason, I cannot remember what the name is.
Yes, you can use your computer.
Okay, so let me send it to my computer right now, and then I'll try to get it on from there.
Okay.
You guys are going to have to talk because we're supposed to be on now.
Zach's good at that.
I like surprising people. Les, how are you doing today, my brother?
I'm doing great. How's the marathon going, or the telethon, or whatever you want to call it?
I don't even know where I'm at right now, to be honest with you. But you know,
I think
the
you're on planet Earth.
yeah, I'll be honest. You know, everything looks a little familiar, but I seem like I feel like I'm kind of lost. But yeah, so yeah, everything has been going really good. We've had a lot of wonderful discussion, talking a lot about health, in which I know is something very important to you, and you've worked a lot. You've spent a lot of time in the health and wellness world, and now you've got a brand new venture, and you're going to be bringing up JW Wilson, the founder of this program. But why don't you go ahead, and while we're waiting for him, why don't you give us an introduction to Cracking the Sales Code?
Sure. Well, first off, it's all about, excuse me, get a drink here. Cracking the Learning, the Learning Code Institute is 40 years old, and we're known worldwide as the world leader in brain science for communication and sales. And one of the things is when you reduce the stress in your life, through the proper use of your brain, the creativity goes off the chart. In fact, because of that, JW has created 23 very unique multi-million dollar businesses throughout his 40 years. And he's also consulted with the United Nations, NASA. One of the things with Mayo Clinic, for instance, when you're talking health, is we've actually helped the Mayo Clinic's doctors connect with their patients. And now, after 40 years, we've been asked to come out with a course, which we have, which everybody can learn to use their brain. And the two tremendous benefits is you lower your stress. And when you do, the creativity just multiplies. And the other thing is you're able to really connect with your brain and learn in a way that you just couldn't before. And JW's camera's on there. He's
Yeah, yeah. It's we've got the voice from the heavens, but that's about all we got right now. So well, yeah, that's fine. That's fine. We've got you under control right now. So one of the things, Les, that's very unique about this is there's a system of delivering this information. This isn't, and JW says it in the video, and it's not drinking out of the water hose. This isn't just flushing your face full of stuff, flushing your brain full of stuff right away, and saying, okay, give me money, go away. This is learning. This is putting it into learnable situations a little bit at a time.
Yes, because transformation does not happen overnight. And unfortunately, we've been taught that if you throw enough information on it, you change. The brain actually says, no, I don't want this junk, and gets rid of it because it's not part of your meaning network. And so, yeah, that's one of the things that it has to be gradual. And that's why the course is 3 to 10 minutes a week. And then you go out and you learn how to use your brain. And gradually things change. I mean, I've gone through 6 weeks of it, and I can't believe how much more sensitive and to people and myself that I am. And that's one of the things that I'll be talking about a little bit after JW's, because he's going to be talking to veterans on what you do with PTSD and drug addiction. And he's had clinics for both. And in his 40 years, and been highly successful at it, worked with the wounded warriors. And but he'll be talking about that once we get him on.
Yeah, All right, sounds good. Yeah, one of the, I think one of the things that really attracts me to this is it isn't just, look, there's sales is a big part of this program,
Yes.
but hey, look at that, we've got a guy.
Aha! He does
So,
exist.
yeah, yeah. Oh, and I just muted you. I went to go mute your other thing and I muted you.
Sorry, guys. I know a lot about the brain, but not as much about technology.
You know what? If we all knew as much about computers as we know about yeah, we'd probably be a little bit better off. But welcome to the show, JW. This is your first year here with Mission for Healthy Heroes, and I couldn't be happier because I do like the way that you explain what's going on here. And as I was just saying, sales is a huge part of this program. Okay, this program is built towards being able to sell more, being able to teach you how to work and communicate with people more.
Right.
But this is also transferable into everyday life. This is also transferable into somebody who's had brain injuries and other difficulties.
Right. And what's interesting is, kind of in medicine, when we're trying to help people with PTSD, first we have to figure out what is PTSD. So what we have to understand is, where does it come from? Well, it can come from shocks to your head. It can come from explosions. It can come from a lot of things, but it can also come from fear.
Yeah.
Basically, children have it. So basically, when you're under stress, your body releases a hormone called cortisol. And what it does is, what the cortisol does is, it goes into your brain and makes you hyper aware. Your eyes dilate, your blood flow shifts more to the type of areas that keep you aroused and on edge. And that's why people that are nervous all the time are always snapping at the wrong thing, or they're always picking at you the wrong way. So what happens is, when you are in a what we call a cortisol flush, when you're in a position that's caused a lot of cortisol, like a lot of veterans, what happens is your brain is overwhelmed with cortisol, which is almost like poison to a certain amount, and it literally starts killing neurons. And so those people that have PTSD, we've got to do a lot of work to helping them keep their blood flow in the upper part of their brains, keep their stress levels low, and literally the brain will reorganize and start to reheal itself. So, and this is one of the reasons that talk therapy sometimes doesn't work as well as we'd like it to, because what we're doing is we're putting more stress on the brain to do what the therapist is trying to do, instead of stepping away a moment and giving the brain time to reorganize itself. Because when you give the brain too much to do too quickly, it creates more stress. And the way to heal PTSD is to create less stress in the individual, so the natural healing processes can come forward.
And where tell me about the journey, JW, to discover this. Tell me about what you were doing when this came to you.
Right. Well, it didn't really come to me. What happened? And sorry, guys, I'm having some problems with my lighting here. So what happened was, so I was doing the research. So this is a long time ago. So really, what got me interested in this, I was running a couple of television stations, and I wasn't producing the ads. We were producing the shows and everything else. And I noticed that some people's advertising, I was in the cable business, I could tell what their response rate was. And what I found was that the people that were creating more movement to whatever they were trying to sell had more meaning to the customer. And I went, wait a minute. And then what I found is, I started researching engineering. What does sales do to the brain? Do you know what you do when somebody tries to sell you, Zach?
Yeah, you shut down.
Exactly. Your biology does this. So what we found was, sales wasn't getting people to move. What was underneath the sales? What was most meaningful to people? And when you could reverse engineer, and if they told you money, you had to ask other questions. It's never the money, it's what the money buys them, whether it's security, whether it's fulfillment, whether it's joy, whatever it happens to be. But if you just start marketing or trying to get people to change on the first thing that they say, you really got to go to the next level down and say why. We ask them 3 times, why do you say that? And then they start thinking about it. And what we found is that the people, especially that have brain damage or PTSD or a lot of stress in their life, as they slow down and ask themselves those questions, literally it lowers their stress hormone. Because when the stress hormone comes up, what do? We act right away and we say something to our wife or our loved one and we wish we didn't. So what we do is we kind of breed into the system that they're using that kind of deep breath moment where they now, and it's not so much for their head, it's for the rest of their biology also. Because as their heart rate slows down, their breath rate slows down, now the neurological mechanisms start to be engaged that make them much more successful with their actions.
One of the things that you just said really explains why the statistic shows that most suicides happen within 30 seconds of the initial thought.
Exactly. And
It's
that's
because you don't allow that thought, that thought doesn't sit. It's an immediate reaction.
That's exactly right. Because that thought also is causing so much. This is the interesting thing. That negative thought is creating stress. Remember, that stress is a hormone called cortisol. When that stress when you get cortisol flush, too much of cortisol in your brain, it literally shifts your blood flow downward to your least evolved states where you're the dumbest, where you can do stuff like kill yourself. So literally what stress can do is cut off the part of the brain that says, don't stick that gun in your mouth. So that's why we've got to, in a way, when we work with PTSD and people that have it, we talk about the prophylactic effect of meditation, mindfulness. So what we talk about here at the Learning Code Institute is helping people with meditation and mindfulness before the event comes. Because what happens is as you meditate, you do more mindfulness, you observe your thoughts instead of being your thoughts. When you become the observer, there's a different relationship chemically in the brain, and it gives you distance between a thought and action, much more distance. And literally people that use this, the guys that have used it for PTSD, they go, I don't yell at my wife like I used to either. Yes, because you can manage your emotions so you don't let your emotions run out of control and literally damage you.
Yeah, I don't yell at my wife like I used to either, because this one would pick up a baseball bat and I wouldn't be yelling at anybody anymore. So
It might kick my ass too.
yeah, this one would learn me straight. I'll tell you. Les, you wanted. I want to get your opinion on what's being said here.
I'm learning unbelievable, and that's one of the things that I'm very thankful for, especially since I met JW about 9 months ago, and him and I have been on numerous calls and with his book. But man, since this, and what's interesting is I've been using his words because I didn't have the experience. But since the course has come out, I'm taking the course and I'm experiencing this. And one of the things even JW will tell you is even when he's giving a lecture, unless people experience it, they don't get it. It's just
think of all the seminars you've been to, literally hundreds of them. What percent do you remember now? For most of it's at most about 2%. It's because what happens is working memory, the guy's sitting up there talking, working memory fills up, but working memory is like the size of a thimble. It can only hold so much in front of your temple. And then you keep loading in more stuff before the stuff in working memory goes back to long-term memory in the rear associative areas. You just keep knocking it out with the next seminar, the next webinar, the next hour. And that's what we do in most of our training programs. We don't understand the process of giving the information time to incubate within the brain so it can change the structures.
And one of the things that you and I discussed, JW, in a past episode, and Les and I, we bring this up almost every month because I find this just extremely fascinating. We bring up how we learn in school, and you brought up, look, when you were in school, you learned things because you knew you had a test on Friday.
That's
You
right.
didn't learn things because you wanted to learn things. You learned things because you know you had a test on Friday. And guess what? On Saturday, you were lucky if you remembered your name.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. And here's the other thing. Here's the trap. Who did you take the test for? Why did you memorize the information? You
Yeah.
didn't do it for you. You did it for them. And your brain knows that. So it goes, great. I passed the test. I made them happy. I'm through. Working memory in front of your temple literally drops out and you do it again.
Yeah,
And
why in the hell, why in the hell would I take that test? I knew everything I needed to know in high school.
that's right. That's right. You knew more
Sound
than
like a teenager.
we all did. We all did.
I have never in my life been smarter than when I was a kid. And
That's
man, I was a dumbass.
It's
So,
much more complex. Yes, but here's the advantage is when we understand how the system works. I mean, literally, our education system is built on a biological fallacy that stress creates learning while you're taking a test. It doesn't. So basically, what happens is that information that you memorized, if it's not meaningful to you, it's not useful to you, if you can't use it, it drops out and then you got to do it again. So there's some remnants left that you can gin it up a little bit when you get in college, but it's not the same. So basically, what we found is meaning drives all movement. What you had for breakfast today, what you did for what you're going to do tonight, whether it's watch TV or whatever, that's meaningful to you. The structures of meaning drive your motion. And when we can understand the structures of meaning to a patient that has PTSD or an individual or anybody that has it, what is meaningful to them, if they can get to that, then we can help them get more of it. Then that literally changes their brain structures, their neurochemistry, and literally you're not dealing at the same levels with post-traumatic stress disorder, because at one level the chemicals that are driving post-traumatic stress are decreasing to the point where they may even disappear.
okay, here's a question, and it's this is off something that you just said, that education system has it wrong that they try to induce fear for learning. What and I know that there are a lot of business owners that say they want to run their company with the iron fist, and by God, I'm the man and you're going to listen to me or I'm going to
Right.
pop your skull.
Yeah. That's our judicial system.
Yeah. And that's just, people aren't going to learn anything. They're going to go in, they're going to do their job, and they're going to go home, maybe.
That's right. Well, yeah, fear gets a little complicated, but in general, fear doesn't create learning. You can remember that fireball that showed up in your garage one day when your car caught on fire. You can remember that. But basically, in general, what fear is doing is shifting the blood flow to the parts of your brain that tell you to get out of the way quickly. Move, get out of here. That's why you're under stress. I don't want to be here. I want to get out. Your biology is telling you to do that. So stress, there's a thing called eustress, which is good stress. Do you remember your first or second kiss? Damn, you kissed a lot of people, Zach.
Yeah. There's just been so many first or second kisses. Like this is where I get to pull out that, hey, I've had head injury, I had head trauma, but JW, the truth, I wasn't that smart to begin with. So,
Right. Doesn't make any difference.
and I'm getting up in there in years. So yeah, I'll just say it was my first kiss was my now wife, because we we knew each other when we were kids, when we
That's
were young
cool.
kids.
That's
So,
cool. That's great. That's a great story. Holy sugar. You married your first kiss.
yeah, we're gonna go with that. Even if it's not true, we're gonna go with that.
But what the point I'm trying to make is that we remember the emotional personal things that are important to us. We don't remember what is important to a teacher if it's not important to us also. So what you have is this one-way street of all the teachers in grade schools and high schools going, this is important because it was important to me. So it's got to be important to you. So we take what is meaningful here and we try to jam it down that throat. The difference is there's no two neurons in any two brains on the face of the earth that are wired the same way. So even if cars are interested to both of us, or carburetors, or something like that, there'll be little differences always within it, within our view of what we're looking at. Why is that? Because evolution, God basically figured out that the more diverse our population brain structures were within a range, the more survival opportunities they had. So what we do in the education system is we try to have everybody think the same. Everybody think like a teacher. Teachers tend to be left temporal lobe dominant. That's where words and finite math are. So they fit the system really well. Almost all teachers got A's in the school system. About 90%, 10% didn't, or did well in the system. And why do they go back in it? Because their brain plan fit the system. The problem is the other 90% of kids don't have that brain plan. So you take one brain plan that worked for one group, about 7%, and then you try to jam it down the throats of the other 93%, and it doesn't work. We end up with what we got. We got 80% of us aren't happy with our lives. It's crazy. None of us are making the amount, not none of us, but about 5%, only about 5% of us are making the financial return in our lives we want to make. So what we found is if we can just understand that meaning drives all movement, and if you can figure out what's deeply meaningful to someone or help them figure it out, then not only is their life going to change, but their ability to operate in the world is going to change, and our ability to cooperate as people are going to change. Why do we have war? Because my lower brain structure says you got what I want, so I can kill you to get it. Your upper brain structure, where your third eye is, where the ancients put your third eye here, when the blood flow goes up there, you want to love everybody. It's very different. You want to cooperate. So basically what we've got is a problem where we've created a world where we think might makes right, but all it does is force the blood flow downward and force us to fight more.
So let me ask you this: what is this something we need to? Is this something that we need to learn over and over again as we age, as we change? Because I remember, in my 20s, I was definitely interested in things that I'm no longer interested in. In my 30s, I was interested in things. 40s, I was interested in different things. And now, because I'm so much smarter now. Now I know what's really important to me, and it's the interests, of course, of all have changed. Does this learning transfer?
Yeah, it hasn't really changed. What's happened is you've got your initial learning, your high school, your college, your girlfriends, your work. So that's filled up in your head. Those are neural connections, right? So those neural connections, every time it's like pixie dust. Every time you add a new neural connection, in a way, your perception changes. You may not be aware of it, but that's what's happening. So as we age, we're changing neurons. Some neurons are going away. Some neurons are coming in. Some connections are going away. New ones are coming in. So in a way, we have the opportunity to recreate ourselves anew almost every day, because that's what's happening anyhow. Our brain is adapting to the new world that we're seeing. Your brain is not adapting to the world you grew up in the 1970s or 80s. Your brain is adapting to the world in 2025. But it's on top of all the stuff that you learned beneath that, right? So it's a fascinating. And this is when we work with groups or tribes of people, what we do is we figure out, okay, what is the learning that's happened, right? What is already in there? What can we introduce into this new ventral mental area that helps them get more of it, so they say it, so they're more attracted to this new way of being. And that new way of being can be no war. We can eventually get there. The problem is we've hit on a construct that againstness gives us what we want. But againstness biologically in history has never worked. It's only given us more war ever since man showed up. Might does not make right. Might makes more war. What we have to do is change our thinking process about where we want to go as a species. And when you do that, then everything changes. When I think Roosevelt he would set a chicken in every pot and a car in every garage back in the 40s or something. That resonated with people. It wasn't againstness; it was forness. So what's happened is, and againstness does work. You can get somebody to burn down a bridge or storm the Capitol with againstness, but it doesn't give us what we want. And the problem we have is we're some of the few people in the world that understand the biology of againstness. And what we really want is to get this more to the world as much as we can, so we can change this world, so we don't continue to kill each other thinking that's the answer.
So, JW, what's the emotional key to this? What's the emotional key to get people to really start thinking about, you know what? This is something I need.
Yeah. Well, what you have to do is think personally. What we found is, everybody wants to change the world, but they also want to make sure their plumbing's working first, right?
Yeah.
So we found is and you're asking a very good question. It's taken us so long. I mean, we've got over $9 million and 35 years just into the frickin' research to figure out how all this works, right? So you're asking a great question, because what we're doing now is we're just taking this out to the world. People saw this as, yes, we can accelerate the speed of learning. But what we're talking about here, Zach and Les, is we're talking about changing the way people operate in the world, which is a bigger mission. And so to answer your question, what do we do next? I think what we want to do is make sure that this information gets to the world. We have people recognize that we can't continue to do what we're doing, or we're going to continue to get what we've been getting. And so I think once we've spent most of our energy coming up with how everything works and how to change it. Now we're going to shift into getting this message to the world, so we can see that againstness is not the answer.
Les, you had made a statement a little bit earlier about how, since you've been taking these lessons, how you become more aware, how you become more patient, how you become more. In what aspects?
Well, first off, one of the things I've had a discussion with JW is I have been the good student. And I've got some good grades, but one of the things I discussed with JW since this is that isn't the way the brain wants it. And so one of the discussions I had is, even when I'm reading his book now, I listen for what's inside. And
of Les.
What, JW?
And what's inside of you?
Right. What's inside of me. I listen for the emotions, and it will tell me when I'm full. And if I try to go further, then it kind of blurs. But if I stop and wait and give it 3 or 4 hours overnight, it's shocking how much it changes me. And one of the things that I've really learned, and this is one of the things JW talks about, once you get to know yourself, you'll get to know others. And so when I understand this about myself, I also want to understand it about others. You can only give them so much information, and then they've got to noodle on it, was the old term. And and then plus the fact that one of the things I've noticed is I'm even more sensitive. I'll give you an example with my wife. She has these chimes that every single night it's windy. They rattle, and I have to get up and grab them before it wakes up the dogs and so forth. And after 4 times, I says, do we really need these things up? I mean, I'm tired of getting up. And she says, those were given to me by our friend for Christmas. And once I realized that, my attitude changed.
Yeah,
Because
the
now,
meaning, when you had understood what was meaningful to her, it wasn't the noise. It was something much deeper than the noise.
yep, exactly. And now I have no problem getting up when it's windy and getting them down because I understand what really is meaningful to her on her friend. And I'm starting to uh, I do a lot of interviews on Alignable, and we have 3 minutes and so forth. And I ask in fact, this is a question I'll ask everybody on here, and that is the two ways of communication that the brain allows is communication with ourself uh, to learn things, whether it's chess, sports, new certificate for your business or whatever. And I'm learning to, not push it and allow my brain to do whatever. But the other thing is connection with others for either social or business. And so I'm asking everybody this: when you're able to connect and better, what will change in your life? And see, that allows people to connect into their brain and say, okay, what would? And so it's called connecting into the meaning network. What's meaning for them? Because everybody wants, that's one of the things I've found since I've asked this question. Everybody wants better communication and connection. I figured a lot of, quote, successful people would feel they were already there, but none of them has said nothing.
Yeah, it's really interesting. We've isolated ourselves an awful lot in the modern society.
Yeah, see, I think my answer to that question, Les, quite simply would be I'd like to see less shiny squirrels. I'd like to make it to where I stop losing focus as often as I do, and the frustration that comes with that, because it's not that I'm sitting there trying to, oh look, there it goes. I had a thought, but there's a lot of times that maybe it's just as you were mentioning, maybe it's just over focus. Maybe I'm trying to put too much focus on it, and it's your head telling you, hey, stop. you,
You
you're
know,
not getting there right now.
well, this is kind of religious, but one of the terms we have is let go and let God. When you
Yeah.
feel that energy, and this is real weird because that part of your brain that we're trying to activate where meaning is also where your spiritual connection is. That's why the ancients always put that third eye,
Mhm.
in the forehead there. They didn't know the neurobiology, but they must have known something because that's a part of the brain that does that, that helps you with that, with spirituality. But what we found is, and so in what is, we talk about, we don't want you to do things that aren't meaningful to you because the memory just won't stick. So you're kind of wasting your time. The trap is discovering what's meaningful to you because we never took any time to ask anybody that in school. We told you want to be rich, you want to have a big house, you want to have a car, so we all chase these bright things, and we call it the pretty penny syndrome. We weren't really chasing what was going to fulfill us. And so really the whole thing got skewed. And really what we find is that when people can find out what is meaningful to them, they make a lot more money. Think about this: Jobs, Wozniak, Dell, Allen, Gates, Ted Turner, Richard Branson. Do you know what their degrees are in? They're running the 21st century. None of them have a degree. They all dropped out and followed meaning. That's why they're controlling the 21st century. So really meaning is what drives all movement. And in marketing and branding and in learning, if we can identify what's deeply meaningful to our potential customer or individual or student, then they're done. They'll follow you anywhere.
I don't know if you've ever read it, JW, but I would really I would really be interested in if you had ever read or heard anything about the book, The Power of Doing Something Stupid.
I have seen that. And I think I skipped. That was a while ago. Yes, I saw that. But I can't
Because
remember what was it about again.
it actually talks about all these people who had stupid ideas. People were telling them it's stupid ideas.
Yeah,
It talks about how people were telling Bezos, why in the hell would people shop online
that's right.
when they can go to their stores and get everything they need?
That's right.
Imagine how dumb you feel right now if you asked him that question.
Yeah.
It's like, well,
What do you
why
need
in
the
the hell would I
internet for?
not?
Right. Yeah.
You know, but yeah, I mean, it's just it talks about ideas that when people had things that were seen as dumb or stupid, and if they quit, when somebody came back around and did something with it, it became wildly successful.
Mhm.
Yeah,
If they stuck with it and they kept building, they became wildly successful.
that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
But you got to be a visionary. And we found there's a very interesting thing you can look at. It's called the innovation adoption curve. And a guy in Everett Rogers did this way back in the 1980s. And it was really helped me when I was in the television business, because what I found was when I was selling advertisers, that there were what he called innovators and early adapters. And they were always the first to get a cell phone or a color TV or an electric car or whatever it could be. They were the first movers. And when I saw that he had kind of a bell curve, that, a hump curve, really like a mountain, and in that the majority and early majority would not buy, the lots of people, unless the innovators first bought. Oh, Bob's got a Tesla, or something like that. It had to have those first groups. So what I did was I would find companies or groups, and we would identify what category were they in: the majority, were they laggards, were they and then we would craft the advertising to match their brain plan, and we knocked it out of the park all the time, because we talked to where their brain plan was, to what their fears, anxieties, and joys were in that particular area. So it made marketing so much easier and branding so much easier, because you knew who you were going. You didn't try to go to the masses, because if you would go to the masses if you had Coke, something everybody wanted. But if you had something that was new, you had to get those innovators and early adapters first. And that was great. And I've been in that business my whole life, aggregating. I've probably done 25 startups that were all new in their field. And so we were really good at identifying that innovator early adapter brain plan, and then getting that to be activated so they wanted what we were offering that was beyond money. It was meaning.
Les, what's your next step? What do you want to see happen next with you and your personal growth?
Great question.
I've read ahead on the different things in the course, because 29 weeks at this point. And I'm this weekend, my wife and I are going to watch number 7. I have access to it when other people don't, but the other people have started. But so I'm not sure. One of the things I will say, and again, this is what excites me. I'm going into the 7th week, so needless to say, I'm going to be 25% done because it's 29 weeks. But my question at this point is, I've read the titles of the rest, and what I've done is so changing in me and telling other people how much is changing. I'm excited to find out what's next.
And see, this is the interesting point, Les. Do you know, Zach, what the dropout rate is of the average online program after I buy it? What the dropout rate is after 2 weeks?
I'm going to go fairly conservative and say like 25%.
Probably 60 to 70 to 80%.
That's insane.
Yeah, you can look it up. And nobody's paying attention to that, because they're having you look at these hour webinars after hour webinar after hour, and they're having you take a true and false test at the end, or a multiple test squad. It's like, your head blows up. And after the first couple of weeks, they stop doing it. So people that buy an online program, the average stick rate is 2 to 3 weeks, and then they drop off. And so, but here's the problem: they keep paying. So the person that's delivering the program, he may see his viewership is growing down, but his cash flow is remaining the same.
Yeah.
So there's not a lot of reason to change. So we blame the customer. You didn't work hard enough. You should have watched more of those videos. Whatever we do, that's not the problem. The problem is the delivery system is causing so much stress and low learning that people stop doing it.
You know, and it's funny that you bring up, you know, going to see some of these people in sales and stuff like that, going to some of these seminars. Those things scare the hell out of me, and I'm telling you, I will not go to one of them with my wallet. I just won't do it. And
The power of the power of the crowd.
yeah, it's
Crowd
not.
mentality.
Yeah, it's not that, you know, I'm gullible, and I think that, you know, I think sometimes we tend to step on people's emotions by calling them gullible. You know, why in the hell did you buy that? What were you thinking? When, like we've talked about earlier, it's an emotional thing. Somebody's going to say something that's going to, you know, and they're trained. They've trained themselves to go, hey, these are the keywords.
Yep.
This is going to get, you know, this is going to get little Susie to sign over her ice cream money to me. When
Yep.
I say, you know, that strawberry unicorn's going to visit your house tonight if I get your ice cream money. Little Susie's going to give up that ice cream money. Okay.
Right.
They know what they're doing. It's kind of like a criminal. A criminal's not an
Yeah.
idiot. They know what they're doing.
Yeah.
They do a lot of dumb stuff, but they know what they're doing, and they found a way to make it work for them. That's the way these twisted salespeople do it, right?
Yeah, and they can, and yeah, and here and again, this is what they do. They say we can make you more money than Bob or the other guy,
Mhm.
and then what they do is they have you chase kind of this bright thing, right? And but it's really, even when you get it, the bright thing isn't making you happy. It's the money doesn't make you happy. It's what the money gives you, the security, the fulfillment, the freedom, the other things. And when people start to understand that, what we found helping people do businesses is, I said, why would you do that business? Why wouldn't you do something that was joyful, gave you freedom, happiness, and meaning to begin with? All that other thing will make me a lot of money. I said, but didn't you just try another thing like that for 2 years and now you're back again? Because what happens is when you're trying to do something to make the money, when that something isn't meaningful to you, it's like throwing sand in your gears of life. You literally kill yourself slowly by adding more stress into your life.
When I say the words, I don't want to be rich, I just want to get by, what's your first thought?
That may be what you end up doing. Your brain is very powerful. I don't have to do X because all I want to do is get by. So you can give up a lot of things just to get to. And here's another thing: the brain, especially the lower brain, loves to be right. That's why people fight all the time. I'm right, you're wrong. It's like ridiculous. It's the lower, it's the least of all part of your brain that likes to fight. The upper part wants to come to solutions so we both get what we want. But we've created a world where most of us operate from the lower brain centers, and we think might makes right. So we think we got to fight with the other guy to prove our idea is better. It doesn't do anything. It just create more fighting.
Yeah, see, I was kind of wondering if maybe that was just that you're focusing in the way I was looking at that statement is almost, you know, you're still focusing on the money. You're not focusing on the goal of being happy.
Yeah, or what's meaning, or see, happiness. You can get happiness by taking cocaine. You're going to feel like crap afterwards, but it'll give you a little happiness for a while. In a way, that's what we do. We go, oh, well, I'll have that donut. That's jacking up some of those neurotransmitters of happiness. I'll eat that sugar. I'll drink that alcohol. So what we're doing is we're shifting to those things because what we're doing in our life isn't giving us enough meaning. When we're doing what's meaningful to us, we don't need all that other stuff. Our life's pretty freaking happy. every day when we get up, we get to do what gives us joy and meaning, which are dopamine, serotonin, norepinephrine, and the right levels of acetylcholine. It's the cocktail of life that gives you joy every day.
Okay, now I have to ask this question. Is there a hidden camera in here somewhere? Because earlier we had people on who were saying, you shouldn't drink soda. And I'm sitting here with soda in front of me and all this other stuff. And then somebody said something about, you shouldn't eat you shouldn't eat these foods or, this processed foods or stuff. Well, I'm sitting there shoving something into my mouth. Now you just said donuts. I was about ready to reach back and grab a damn donut. Yeah, do I got a camera in here something? Because everything I've done today is it actually shows a lot about me and my bad habits.
No, but here's what. Well, you got to stay alive for how many hours are you doing this for?
Oh, I still got it. I still got 10 more to go.
Well, I give it. You can eat donuts, but normally what's happening is here's what we're doing. What is a carbohydrate? It's just a bunch of sugars hooked together. So a donut without sugar or a piece of bread is just a wad of sugar. Is another way to look at it, right? It's just it's got to be broken apart a little bit. They're carbohydrates or complex sugars. A simple sugar is like sugar cane or the sugar you put in your coffee. Either way, those are carbohydrates. And here's the trap. They're addictive. They stimulate the same part of your brain as cocaine and heroin. So that's when you're walking past the icebox and you say, oh, I'm not going to have another X. And 5 minutes later, you find the X is in your mouth. Literally what that desire does is it drives the blood flow out of the resistance area of the brain. So you walk right in and grab what you know you shouldn't be eating and sticking it in your mouth. You literally have no barrier against it. I help run the country's only holistic treatment center, accredited by the Joint Hospital Commission. And what we found was that almost everybody in treatment had a low level of understanding what was meaningful to them. So they used the drugs and the alcohol to replace the neurochemicals that they weren't getting from their own lives. When they got more meaning in their lives, they titrated off the drugs and alcohol because that's what they were looking for anyhow.
That's amazing. And what do they need to do different just to make sure that people, what would be the first step they should do to make people understand that that's what they're doing?
Well, we just have to get this information out there. I mean, I wish it hadn't to take us all this money and all this time to figure it all out. But really, we're just getting it out there. And what we found is treatment centers, all sorts of other organizations, when they see this, they start to use it because they realize their frustration that they've been having doing what they're doing. I don't know if you know this, but you got a treatment, your relapse rate is 80%, even after you got a treatment. We don't talk about it. And then we look at relapse as part of the treatment. But still, it's tough. When you get those chemicals or you get those structures in your brain, whether they're chemical induced or personality induced or environment induced, it takes us a while to change them. But once we understand how to change them, we can do it, and we can do it pretty quickly. And that's
okay. Well, let me ask you a real quick question about this. We're getting up towards the end of our segment, but the reoccurrence thing really is a question to me. How many how likely is it because of the way that people come at it? Exactly what you said earlier. I'm more likely to relapse if I go in because you tell me to. But if I say, you know what, I am done smoking cigarettes.
There you go, baby.
I'm going to succeed. If I get told by a judge, well, you ain't drinking no more, and watch that guy find me.
External motivation versus external motivation barely works. If external motivation worked, 80% of people in prison wouldn't be going back. They're all going back, that 80%, because that 6 years, 5 years, whatever in prison didn't work to change their structures. It's a waste of time and a waste of money. So yeah, I'd rather send them to church for a year than prison. So to change the structures. Prison's not changing the structures. It's just causing pain.
Wow. Oh, this has been again, JW. We need to get you on more often. It's just I agree with Les. Your program is amazing. I think it's ingenious. I'm glad you spent the money and the time. Yeah,
So,
probably would
so
have.
am I. So my wife might not like it, but I
Yeah,
have to. I
yeah,
have to.
yeah.
Yeah.
But
Well,
Les,
Zach, we're going to be
One of
here.
the things,
Let's catch up again because I've got some ideas too about how we could package and brand this day of yours the next time you do it, and some other ideas for you too that we could
all
discuss.
right. Yeah, that
and
sounds good.
but
Let's
one thing
do the business part of this.
I want to mention here that JW has been consulting on this for 40 years, and the companies and so forth that could afford him and so forth, it was there. But folks, at this point, $20 a month, and you can have these changes with the course, and it's 3 to 10 minutes a week, and then you go out and learn how to use your brain. I mean, this is unbelievable, but everybody can have it now, and that's it. School, SKOOL.com/increase. And you can start today.
Yeah. And you can find all that information on Les's landing page in communitypayitforward.us. Gentlemen, this is amazing. I always, I always enjoy this because it makes me think about about things I've done,
Yeah.
about the way I've seen things. I've learned things since I've been an adult because they've become an interest to me. Everything I've learned about the history and all this other stuff, you know what? I heard it in school. I just didn't give a damn about it in school.
That's right. That's right.
I found it as I found it as an interest as I got older about, all all the Egyptians and Romans and the Greeks and all those civilizations and stuff. I found that now because I love it and it's interesting to me and it's exciting to me. And so I do understand it and I take in so much more now.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and this is a fascinating think to be alive because so much is happening and we have so many opportunities, and I think we have so much going on in the world that we can fix things much quicker than we don't have to go through 3,000 years of drudgery to try to change something in the world right now with ChatGPT, with computers, with lasers, with all the stuff we got in medicine, in what we're learning. This is a new world, and I'm very excited about the future.
Well, I greatly appreciate it. Les, how can people get a hold of you?
My email is les@csc for cracking the sales code course.com. My cell phone is 303-579-6881. And we're also looking for resellers of this program. And so if you're interested in doing that, but the first thing you need to do is take it at least 3 or 4 weeks and see how it changes you so you can talk to other people. And that is at SKOOLschool.com/increase. And you can watch the first 11-minute video at no charge. And then once you join for 7 days free, then you can watch the second one. But give it the learning adventures. If you don't do the learning adventures, it's just another seminar. And so if you don't do the learning ventures, your brain cannot benefit.
Just so you explain, we don't call them courses. We call them learning adventures. Because the idea of courses, oh my God, I got to,
Yeah.
So there are all these little headwinds that we shifted in the delivery of the information to break through those headwinds or eliminate them altogether so people can lean into your product or service and use it with much more joy.
Well, I definitely understand that because you know what? I would much rather show up for a Friday. Well, this is in the past, of course, but I would have much rather shown up for a Friday kegger party than a Friday exam.
You got it, buddy. Me
So,
too. Me too.
I think I'd rather show up for the exam now because I wouldn't have to wake up the next morning with a headache. But
Yeah, I don't want to do that either.
so,
Neither one of them sound that great.
yeah, so, but gentlemen, I want to thank you both very much for joining us for the
You bet.
2025 mission for Healthy Heroes. Les, you and I will be back together here in a couple weeks. You have a great weekend with your wife. JW, let's get together so we can talk and we can
Yeah, I
learn
think
more and do more.
we will. Thanks, Zach.
So,
Appreciate everybody
all
on
right.
the call too.
All
Thanks,
right. Well, thank you so very much. Thank you, guys.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Look, I love hearing from him. He excites me because the learning aspect of this, yeah, we do have a learning problem in this country a lot of times, and that's because a lot of times we just don't pay attention to what's important to us. We pay attention to what's important to other people. I mean, could this be one of the reasons why we give so much credit to the stars and we want to live like a star, like a movie star? You want that? Possibly, but this is a way that you can learn things because this is what you want. And like you said, this is something that maybe somebody with brain injury can help them refocus that brain and relearn, reteach themselves what's important and get them in a better place. So I am very excited for my next guest. He's going to be joining me in just a couple minutes. I have got to play a video for you because this is the reason why we're here. And then we're going to be back with my new friend, Thomas Long. And we are back. And I am proud to introduce a brand new friend of mine. Talked to you the other day, Thomas, and you and I kind of talked like, well, we knew each other. Sounded very familiar talking to you. Sounded like somebody who was right there with me on really wanting to make a change.
Yeah.
And I'm very, very excited for the first time ever to have. Oh, okay. It's got an S after. Okay, I'll get that fixed. But it really seems like you and I are in a very, very similar situation, and I love what you're starting. I'd like to introduce everybody to Thomas Long, who, Thomas, you got a brand new organization, you got a brand new thing coming out. you're really starting to take and focus on veterans. Can you tell us about Veterans Biz
Yeah.
Connect?
So thank you, Zach. I really appreciate being here. The things that you're doing and bringing the obvious, the mental health, talking about what's going on with us veterans out here and doing all the things that you've been mentioning and the different episodes that you've had all day long with the different people. 22 hours for mental health, for veteran mental health. That's phenomenal. It's not done anywhere else. You're doing something that's completely different. And that's why I wanted to be here and be a part of this with you and what it is that you're doing. But yes, thank you for recognizing Veteran Biz Connect. What that is that's a networking platform similar to those companies out there like BNI or Latip or any of those things. But what we do is we focus in Veteran Biz Connect on the veterans-owned businesses and veteran service organizations. We bring them together to create an economic synergy, kind of like an incubator, to be able to get those networks, those organizations, those veteran-owned businesses, creating that referral system. So they're literally their own economic energy out there, where they're not dependent upon anybody else. And we're building them all over the nation. It's our goal to be able to have veteran-owned businesses and veteran service organizations being able to touch and reach any veteran anywhere across the nation. We have a free directory for veteran-owned businesses and veteran service organizations to be able to connect and be connected by anybody from the community that's looking to support a veteran-owned business or an organization.
You mentioned the referrals, and I think one of the other things that is so important about the referrals when you're going veteran to veteran is that you are talking to, of course I'm speaking as you here, but you're talking to your brothers and sisters and promoting your brothers and sisters. You're not promoting somebody just because, hey, if you shop with this guy, I get $1.
Right.
That's important when it comes to the veteran community. That's one of the reasons why we created the the veteran and hero, both country and community segment of our partner or of our program, because we understand that. Look, women women love to shop and support women. Veterans love to support and shop with other veterans. Heroes, fire departments. You guys and gals are in exclusive clubs that you were together. You're together. You were trained to be together. It's not just you were thrown into an office building together, so now you're copacetic.
The way that most of us like to look at it, Zach, is the camaraderie. The camaraderie that we had, the brotherhood, the sisterhood, that fraternal and sorority type feeling that we have coming out of the military is a way that we come together. It's the way that we look after one another. It's the way that we take care of each other. It's the way that we cover each other's back. And it's the way that we make sure that each one of us is moving forward in the right lane. Most of us that go through basic training, we go over what we call a wooden wall. Each veteran is pulled up by the next one and then turns around, reaches down and pulls up the next guy behind him before he goes over that wall. That's what we're looking to do. We're looking to be out there, and those that have come from where I've come from and gone from the dark holes, and we're going up that ladder, not forgetting to look back and picking up our battle buddy and bringing up our battle buddy from the rear to make sure that they can achieve where they want to get to as well.
You struggled mightily after your time in the service. One of the reasons why you gave me kudos, in which I look, I'm just putting this together because this is important to me to see you, who I consider a hero in my life, you guys be able to put your lives back together, because you know what? We shouldn't want to see anybody fall, but there's no way in hell anybody who put aside their life to fight for our freedom, they definitely shouldn't fall.
Oh, I understand, and I appreciate you putting it out there with a lot of my fellow veterans that talk about it. And one of the best ones that I hear talk about it is my partner in crime in Veteran Biz Connect, Darwin Larson. He always talks about it as a blank check. We wrote a blank check when we signed that that contract and put ourselves out there. No matter what branch, no matter what MOS, no matter where you served, no matter if you fought in the war or not, you still signed that blank check to put your life on the line for this great nation. And that's something that's why we're here, to be recognizing those individuals that did such for this nation.
You know what? I would like to say it cracks me up, but and of course I don't find it offensive when a veteran says it, but I think that they're selling themselves short. Is, well, I didn't fight during time of war. So what? Because that's exactly right. Especially in the way that the world is. Hell, half of that conversation we just had with JW about the bottom part of your brain, and we are all right at this moment. We are all ready to fight with everyone out there. We're one step away from being at war with anybody at any time.
I understand. And a lot of those people, they refer back to their MOS, and they refer back to the training, and they refer back to the things that were said. And especially in the Army eyes, a lot of it was 11 Bravo, the infantry is the Army, is the leg that goes out there and does the things. But what I like to remind my brothers and sisters that didn't have the same MOS that I did and was not in the infantry, I couldn't do my job without you.
Yeah.
I did not survive. I did not eat. I did not have my bullets. I did not have the fuel in my vehicle to go do what needs to be done. The communications didn't work without all the other people involved. No matter what MOS you did, whether you had a combat infantry badge or a combat action badge, I don't care. You still, like you said, signed that line, did what you did, served your time, and took part in that 1% of this nation that dedicated themselves to making this nation a safer and better place every day.
We were talking yesterday when we posthumously presented my uncle with his award from Veterans Honoring Veterans, in which I'm going to try to get that played here shortly, that segment. But we mentioned, because my father was sitting there, and he was a Vietnam era vet, and he was, and the question I posed to him was, Dad, what war did you serve in? And the reason why I was asking him this is because I was asking him to prove the point that Veterans Honoring Veterans honors everyone who signed, who wore the uniform. It wasn't just those who served in conflict. And Dad said something, and we had to remind, I felt like we needed to remind people that, what? Yeah, Dad was in Germany during the end of the Vietnam War. But if he was not doing his job, the men and the people who were on the ground in Vietnam would not have the support that they needed to do their job. It doesn't matter if there's a conflict in one place and you are 3/4 of the way around the world. If you're not doing your job, this is a team effort. This isn't
Always, every day.
There's not. Look, Rambo is not out there. Rambo's not a one man, okay, that doesn't exist. This is a team. You are a family. It is a true family. And when one of you hurt, you all hurt.
And see, that's the thing that I'm looking forward to talking a little bit more about as we get deeper into this, time that we're here, is the hurting. Is the hurting at home? Is the hurting afterwards? Is the recovery afterwards? All those things that happen with a soldier after they're out of the military. That all this, we can talk all day long about the stuff that's going on while we're in there, and we have so many stories to talk about, so many people to talk about, the history to talk about. But I even talking to people that literally, like my brother. My brother was on the airplane when Grenada was going on, and was less than 3 minutes from jump when they got turned around because the conflict stopped. They got turned around in air, less than 3 minutes from jumping out of the airplane, got turned around, and he's considered a non-combative wartime soldier. But he was booted up in a plane, flying there, ready to jump out, standing up, 3 minutes till out the door, and they got turned around. So he gets denied certain, alienable benefits through the VA and different stuff because of that. And that's a shame. That's what hinders and hurts a lot of the soldiers, the veterans out there, no matter male or female, that their status of what they did while they were in changes what they get. It's bonkers.
Let me ask you a question, and this is getting into a little bit on stuff that we're not focusing on
Run
for
away from it.
this event, but it really kind of makes me wonder. Hearing stories like that, is there really a surprise that we're down to 1% people joining the military? Because you know what? These kids are watching mom and dad get screwed, and they're like, why in the hell would I go and sign my life away for this?
Well, there's good reason. There's good reason out there, and there's some of that good reason is the benefits that you do get as long as you do what's necessary. Because my brother still got the educational benefits, he
Mhm.
still got the other things. He got his GI Bill, he helped his son through school, all of those other things. There might be small things that don't benefit and don't go there, but there's a lot of other benefits that you get from the education, the camaraderie, the network that you get to be a part of, all of those things, and learning what it is to serve, be a part of something bigger and
Yeah.
greater than you. Those are important things that the next generations coming up that want to sign up and sign their life on the same check that we did is a great and a true honor to be a part of those organizations.
Yeah, see, this I think one of the questions why I asked this is because you know what? There there is no way, there is absolutely not a good way in the world that we can talk about how many veterans are homeless. There's no way that we can't justify it. There is no justification for it. There's absolutely no excuse for the numbers that are out there.
Right.
There's absolutely no excuse for as little amount of support there is. But and that's why I was wondering, are the kids seeing this and they're thinking that that's more of the norm than the benefits? They don't see a lot of the when they return, they go to college and they go on. They don't see a lot of that. It's not in the news. It's not out there making the good stories. It's not out there making the rounds. They every day though they can go onto the computer, go onto Facebook, go onto anywhere, and you can see stories about homeless vets, wounded soldiers who are getting mistreated, and things like that. What do we need to do, in your opinion, to in which absolutely not ignoring, that's not where I'm going with this, but I want to know, how do we pick up the good stories? How do we push forward the good stories?
Well, it's all depends on who's at the helm. Like you doing something like this, you're finding some of the good stories. You're talking to the people that are making a difference, that are making a change, that want to be a part of picking us up and going in the right direction. And a lot of that comes from us ourselves. Being here doing this, me doing this is part of making that change. Letting them know that there are people out there that have fought through the system and have gotten to where they need to be. You know, being a two-time suicide survivor, a former alcoholic, being almost 350 pounds, going through what I did, losing the weight, getting out on the other side, because of God and the grace of a good woman is the only reason I'm here. So I give all glory to Jesus. But everything that we have going on out here today, we have a chance, us veterans, that are veteran-owned businesses and veteran service organizations run by veterans, owned by veterans, or veterans that are working at them, have the ability that we have our military training and we know what we specialize in as each one of those organizations. Some of them are out there and they always talk about being a one-stop shop for the veterans. We do mostly homeless veterans, but we do everything else. That's where we got to start focalizing, Zach, is getting those experts in those areas connected with each other. That's how we make the change. That's how we make the difference. Someone like yourself that is doing what you're doing right now for 22 hours is what you specialize at, helping the community, getting the word out to help boost us veterans and the entire community as far as high as you can. That's your specialty. You're not out there right now trying to put shoes on veterans' feet. You're not out
Yeah.
there right now trying to get them toilet paper. You're doing what you do and what you specialize in. My specialization is making the connections, creating that economic synergy, getting them to be able to survive and have that economic thrive. And then bringing another organization in that focuses and specializes on mental health and PTSD, like I have and have gone through, the depression, the suicide attempts, the anger, the anxiety. All of those things are holes that we fight through. And we also feel that when we start going down these paths, that we did something wrong. We did something wrong. We caused this. We have to try to fix this. And then we go looking, and there's so much information, Zach. It's overload on us. Because I searched for decades for information to be able to help me get to where I am today. The VA didn't direct me. None of the organizations that I was coming across were hitting on the right avenues and the right cylinders to help me. Not my PTSD, my suicide thoughts, all those things are never going to go away. I deal with my night terrors every single night. I deal with my anxiety every single day, Zach. But is it to the point to where it is completely ruining my life every moment? No. Is it debilitating? Yes. Do I wind up in the house doing things like this through the screen because I can't take being outside around other people? Absolutely. It is something that happens. And it is something that keeps me from getting out there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, being able to work a regular job like every other person can, because I can't take the non-acknowledgement of correct authority. That's what we learn, and having somebody out there that doesn't truly care about you, but then tries to direct you in a way that they feel is best for them. That's not what I was looking for. I couldn't do it. I couldn't handle it. So for 7 years after getting injured, I laid in bed. My depression, my anxiety, my world crumbled around me. And the only two things that kept me going was my wife, who gave everything to me to take care of me, bathe me, clothe me, help me, feed me, push me to my appointments, everything like that, and raise a child at the same time. She's the blessing God put on earth for me. But if it wasn't for my faith that I had eventually found, I would have given in. And I wouldn't be here to be able to do what it is that I do for my fellow veterans all over the nation, bringing them together. One of the most beautiful things that's happened through Veteran BizConnect for me is meeting the other veteran business owners and the organizations out there that truly want to help and truly have specializations, and us veterans coming together and realizing that if we work together, we can change the way veteran services are provided up and down this East Coast that I live on. And we're going to make that change. There's a group of us that are coming together in March that are going to make a change. Not that we're going to talk about making a change. We are going to make the changes that are needed, that we see as veterans that have transitioned and gone through these services and seen the flaws. We're coming together because there's 15 or 20 of us that have specializations in different areas. So we're going to take that hub, that $920 billion hub that people make money off of us as veterans all year long, and we're going to start putting spokes together inside that hub so we can create and make that resource that you were talking about and getting those soldiers taken care of when they need it, where they need it, how they need it.
Like I said, I'm excited because that's not talk. There's a plan in action. We can all talk a good game. Everybody can talk a good game. Hell, that's how a lot of people get swindled, is because someone talks a good game. We need more people who are willing to stand up and say, you know what, I am sick and tired of talking. What do we need to do?
That's right. And that's how it all started, Zach. Your exact words is how it started. Somebody looked at me and said, Tom, that's a great idea. What are you doing about it? What do you mean, what am I doing about it? I just told you what I'm going to do about it. Okay, you told me, but did you take action yet? Well, it has to happen. Give me a minute. That was the first time I mentioned it. Now, you got to give me a minute to act on it. Yeah, but everybody talks, Tom. How many people actually take action? And that was a real swift kick in the butt. We say other things in the military, but I'm trying to keep it, friendly here. That was a swift kick in the butt and got me moving. Like, okay, how long until I take action? So I took instant action. And the next person I talked to that mentioned anything along those lines, or they told me the exact services that they provided, I said, what are you doing to make sure that your specialization is the best thing that you can do? And then we started coming together. And that's what happens. That's when the camaraderie and the mission-oriented faction of what we do as the military and our training comes together, because we know how to act down our lanes and down our roles of what we need to do. And that's what we're going to do as a group.
I'm going to play a little bit of a dangerous game here with you. I want to ask you a question, and you are succinctly a great person to ask this question.
Okay.
What are we as civilians doing wrong when it comes to helping, or when we come to approach you and offering our help? What are we doing wrong? Where is the disconnect? And what do we need to do better when we say, you know what, we want to help? What do we have to do to prove that?
So, a dangerous game, I wouldn't call it dangerous game. Putting my foot in my mouth is a possibility here, but I don't call everybody that I come across a civilian. I come across as somebody that, you are not a civilian. You're not walking around with your eyes closed, blinders on, not seeing what's going on. You're not a civilian. You're somebody who cares, and you're a community member. That's the difference. What you're talking about, community, pay it forward, that's you. You're a community member. You might not have the distinction of what you talked about as a DD 214 and been a soldier, but you're a community member of the veteran community that wants to be out there and perpetuate us getting to where we need to be. So that's the difference right there. Being a blinded civilian that walks around and doesn't want to acknowledge what's going on, acknowledge what we go through, tell us that, well, you guys get enough benefits, you don't need anything. That's the issue. That's the problem. Stuff like that. But the people that truly want to help like you're doing it. I can't explain it to people better than telling them Zach's doing it. Zach's doing exactly what we need, exactly how it's different, by getting out there, making a difference, and offering. Not telling me what to do, not telling me, Tom, I'm here to help you and you're going to do what I tell you to. No, you're not. You don't have no rank, right, or rule over me. You're not going to tell me what to do, but you offer it. You lay it at my feet. And say, you gave me, when we had our conversation, Zach, you didn't tell me, Tom, this is what I need you to do, or this is what's going to happen. You told me your story. You told me what you went through and why you wanted to help me. What you did that gave you the feeling of doing something right when you were with my fellow veterans and the community around us, by being a rider, by doing what you wanted to, by recovering from what you've gone through and worrying about us because of what you went through. You understood what I went through when I described what I went through. When I told you my story, you were like, wow, that resonates so deeply with me. And that's the difference. That's where they have to make the connection. The unfair advantage that me and another veteran has is we instantly already have that connection. That's why we started Veteran Biz Connect, because we surveyed more than 3,500 people that we worked with. And the one commonality that we found was that they refused to go to professional networking events because they were nervous and they were scared. 2, 1, they had no icebreaker that they knew of that could get them past the feeling like I had. I'm walking in there as a grunt. All I did is put rounds down range. This guy's an executive wearing a fancy suit. What's he going to think of me when I walk in, other than thank you for your service? So when we created Veteran Biz Connect, the CEO and founder, Don Martin, talked with Darwin Larson, and they came up with the figures of, we need to have that third tier commonality, not just a second tier that we're human and we all have a business, But the third tier commonality works the best is we can walk into a VFW, American Legion, a DAV, some organization like that, and we instantly have a connection. I feel safe. I was just at the VFW earlier dropping stuff off for my local VFW, and I walked in and everybody at the bar was like, "Hey, brother, how are you?" They didn't know who I was.
Yeah.
I was at least 25 years younger than everybody that was sitting at that bar. But they all said, "Hi, brother, how are you?" I said, "Hey, sisters and brothers, how are you? God bless, have a great night." We had that commonality. So doing Veteran Biz Connect in those locations gives us the sense of, I don't have to worry about anything. That's a brother, that's a sister. It doesn't matter what business they own.
You know, being tied into the VFW as an auxiliary member, when I rode with the Warriors, I know exactly what you were talking about. It was really kind of funny. Once I was sitting there with my president and my VP, we were having breakfast after a Veterans Day ride, and somebody came up to me and shook my hand and went to go and say thank you for your service, and I immediately shut him down. I was like, "Oh, I ride under my grandfather's flags." That's exactly what I would say. I would say that to everybody. They both looked at me and they were and they both kind of had the same question. You could tell it was like, we've always wondered what auxiliary members say. And it was kind of neat being able to tell them. So they were like, "You handled that so smoothly." It was just like there was no confrontation. There was no, you didn't try to play it off like you're better than anything, or you just, "I ride under my grandfather's flags."
Right.
I did.
It's great. And that's a beautiful thing.
And I love the VFWs. I loved being able to sit there and have conversations. It is kind of sad that seeing that they're kind of falling out of, they're kind of falling off a little bit as the as the people are getting older, because the newer crowd is not really much of, they're not wanting to just sit around, drink, and talk anymore.
This is more of a dangerous game than the last one that you played. When you're talking about this, you're talking about my brothers and sisters, and I can really stick my right in my mouth with going down this path. But you're correct, Zach, because I am that next generation. My grandfather, my father's generation, those guys, those were the ones that were sitting in there. Why did they? The safest way for me to go down this path is for me to ask you, Zach, why did they start these organizations?
It was camaraderie. They wanted to be together. They wanted a place where they could go and not be bullied about who they are or questioned about what they did.
That is it right there. You touched on it. You hit it right there. They needed a place because they were not welcome. They were not welcome anywhere. They were frowned upon. They were treated bad. They were spit on when they came home. All those things that happened during Vietnam and all that stuff, that era. That's when this started, because they needed somewhere to be able to come together to talk about their trauma, their drama, their stories, and have a drink and feel safe. That's where the American Legion came from. That's where the Vietnam Veterans of America came from. That's where the VFW came from, to protect us, to bring us together. And then also the American Legion and the VFW, there's nobody that does more for us and our legislative rights than those organizations, Zach.
Absolutely.
They're the biggest powerhouse in our corner, and my generation doesn't know it because all we did is see that's Grandpop's place to go and have a beer. And it was the VFW that I was just at, the Billington Post. That was my grandfather's place to go. He worked there and was so dedicated there. And he got shot in that building, protecting it from somebody that was trying to rob it decades ago. But, and I know that, remember it, have the paper clippings, all that stuff. But I don't go there because I don't drink. I'm 7 years sober. There's no reason for me to go in there and just have a beer. But I go for meetings. I go for other events. I do get involved in the fact that they're there for more than just a beer. And that generation that I'm talking about, that gap, we don't see it that way because, again, The older generation was just in there. They needed somewhere. I'm accepted in bars. I was given so many beers and stuff because of my service and things that were outside of the VFW and other places. When people mentioned that I was, home from Iraq, that, I didn't need to go somewhere to hide to feel safe, and that's what all the younger generations now have, something that they didn't. But the information that they need to know is that if they don't start getting involved and they don't take action in being a part of it, it's going to go away in the fact that we're going to lose our biggest and best big brother.
Yeah, and as a support system, the VFW and the American Legions are so important because when, their resources are very limited, but when a veteran falls down, they're there to help them stand back up. They're not going to take in they're not going to take and they're not going to make their life complete. That's
No.
not their job. Their job is to just maintain life.
We'll use me as an example, Zach. I have a perfect example of the VFW. So when I got injured and wound up bedridden, I was so scared that I was going to lose everything because my bank account was going down fast. I had no money. And then when I got to the point before I started receiving the stuff that I needed, 6-7 months before, my bank account was empty. I turned to a couple different organizations out there that I'm not going to mention, and they turned me away because I have all my limbs. They wouldn't help me. And I wasn't 90 days behind in all my bills yet. Okay. There was one organization, Pennsylvania Wounded Warrior Inc., okay, that literally was there to help me at any given moment that I needed it. But my local VFW post, the Billington post, stepped up and asked me to drop off my bills. They took care of 6 months worth of my bills because they asked me to do it. So I didn't need to burden Pennsylvania Wounded Warrior Inc. with my situation. So they didn't have to write a check to help me, but they were there and ready to. But my local VFW post picked up all my bills, didn't give me a dime, but they paid it directly to the creditor and took care of me from their Almoner fund. And then I'm now trying to give back to them in every way that I can because they helped me. That's what the VFW and American Legions and those organizations do. But they do it quietly. They do it silently. They're not out there broadcasting my story and telling everybody what they did for me in the community. Not that I would, be upset if they did, but somebody might. So they don't. They keep that to themselves and they keep it within inside their walls. But they're there to help us in every way they can.
I love the fact that you brought up a great point that they take and they say, hey, in which me being part of the auxiliary, after I went down, they took care of me. They paid they paid a month's mortgage for me. They did it. They took look, they take care of their own. They
That's
do
right.
not, in which I don't know if this is something that upsets people, but they do not hand out money to people. They take and they take care of your family. They take care of you and your family because again, we're not talking about things that we're not talking about things that are just affecting you. And this, you know this. They're talking about they're helping you and maintain your family.
Yes.
Because where you are hurting, your family is hurting because you never go through pain alone.
That's right. And, a couple things, one thing to talk about there is that they didn't take care of my personal bills. They asked for my household bills, the stuff for my home, for where my wife and my son was. Not me. They didn't say, hey, how's your credit cards? Hey, how's this? They asked, they wanted the home utilities. They wanted the home bills, so they could make sure the power stayed on, the water was running, those kinds of necessities. They weren't putting money in my bank going, hey, go out and have a pizza dinner. We want to make sure that you stay alive, you stay warm, and, and you can clean yourself. Those are the things that they are doing. And it's not just their own. Like, it's not just somebody inside of their singular post. Like, I'll take my American Legion post for an example. My American Legion post in Fallsington, Pennsylvania, literally has taken care of a homeless vet for 4 weeks, helped through 4 weeks, paid directly 3 weeks, but helped through 4 weeks of him staying in a hotel in these below sub-zero temperatures. And they had no affiliation to him at all whatsoever. I said and mentioned during a meeting that this guy was waiting for his benefits to come in, that I was helping him with some other people get his VA benefits, which he got. He was waiting on the check to come in because it takes time. It doesn't happen overnight when that stuff happens. And it got real cold. And they took the initiative and went to the hotel and started paying on a weekly basis for him to stay there until he got his money to do it on his own. That's what I'm talking about. These are the things that they do without any publication, without any, putting it out there. They heard about a soldier, they took care of him. They didn't ask, is he one of ours? Does he pay his dues? They didn't ask any of those questions. They said he's a disabled veteran with a DD-214. We got his back.
Yep. And I really appreciate everything that they did for me personally. And like I said, I am not a veteran,
Right.
but I have seen them, and I've been in the meetings where we sit there and we go, guys, here's somebody who's in trouble. We as the auxiliary, what do we want to do? Of course, I was never went into a meeting. I was in the auxiliary meetings, but I saw the way that it was run in the auxiliary itself.
Right.
And we had the same bylaws. We had the same everything, that we ran it like they ran it.
Yep.
We had the same officers. We had all of that. And, we had that with the Warriors as well. So,
And even sometimes some of the VFW members were in the auxiliary meetings, because they like to be a part of both.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And it's great to have them there too. I mean, first off, look, like I say, I still think one of the greatest things, I haven't been to the VFW in probably 7 years. Okay. My accident was 10 years ago. I haven't been there for the past 7 years, partly because I almost felt guilty that I no longer go there, but I just, it became a part where, it became a little too much for me because of the drinking and everything. And I needed to distance myself from them. But every time I see one of them, any of them outside the building, they still treat me with the utmost respect. And I do my very best to do right back.
There you go.
And they remember me by name. I remember them by, I don't care if they were called Sarge or Stretch or, I call them what they were. That's what they're comfortable in. And it's a wonderful thing.
No, I hear you.
We really wanted to focus on pain because we need to.
Yeah.
We need to know. We need to have that dark conversation about what kind of pain you and your brothers and sisters go through. And we need people to hear it.
I hear you. So that, I mean, the physical and the mental was horrible. The mental pain that I went through, was constant guilt. So being over where I was, there was times where things happened. People didn't come home that I went over. I literally took the place of another soldier being in the National Guard in Pennsylvania. We had our unit left, and we had what was called fill-ins or refills, and we had to go. And I had just gotten home from airborne school and was told that, due to the fact that my father just had a triple bypass, I was put on the back of the list, blah, 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 whatever. So I had somebody come up to me and talk to me and say, hey, listen, I just graduated from college. Well, I'm getting ready to in 2 weeks. I just got engaged. I got my whole life ahead. Listen, I'll go. I'll take your spot. I jumped in it, went and did my train up, did all I needed to do, got over there, boots on ground. Did everything I needed to do, and don't like a month and a half later, he showed up anyways because they needed more. He's there. Didn't come home. Had his whole life ahead of him. Another soldier that I was supposed to go out on a mission and take his spot for the day. And he came up last minute as I mounted the weapon up on the vehicle and said, I'm going. This is mine. I go with the commander. I'm his gunner, blah, blah, blah. I'm going. Okay, Sergeant. Roger that. Go back in, sit down, do what I'm doing, find another mission, take care of that mission. Lo and behold, over the radio, they got hit. He didn't make it. He didn't go home. Again, why me? Why am I still here and he's not? These are the things that we deal with on a daily basis that some guys never recover from, never figure it out, never get it out of their head, never get that moment back because of those moments that happen because they think they're in control and that they lead the way. And I most certainly am one of them that I thought it was my fault, thought I did it. I did something. I made a choice. I did something wrong. But it's not us. It's his path. His path that we walk on, that's where I got that moment to be able to understand things, but it still doesn't take it away. Those moments when you make a choice in the field or you follow an order live with you forever. Forever. They never go away. Nobody can take it away. And the most horrible thing about going into the VA and going into the mental health era in the VA is that they have no continuity with their providers. That I literally had to, every 2 to 3 weeks, talk to a new provider and go through all of my trauma all over again. All over again. Every single situation, talk about it, everything, drudge it all up, relive it, feel it, deal with it, go back through that suicidal era, go through everything every single time. And it was horrible. It was absolutely horrible. It was probably more horrible than going through the situations that I went through than, anything else, is reliving it every 3 weeks constantly because of the flawed system that they have. So, but that pain is what drove me to drink constantly. I was a 24-hour alcoholic after coming home because I didn't want to see their faces. I didn't want to hear their voices. I didn't want to see when I saw their family show up for them.
Yeah.
That was the pain that I was drowning in alcohol. That's what some of my fellow soldiers went to for the release was drugs, alcohol, whatever they could find to get their mind clear of that moment. And we fall down and we forget there's other people to help pick us up. Because I'm strong. I can do it. I did all this. Why can't I do that? And we forget. We forget that we didn't do it alone. There was an entire team, like you talked about earlier, there that got us there, that got us through it. We weren't doing it on our own. And we forget about it. And it's tough. Then the physical pain from jumping out all the airplanes, the 6 bulging herniated discs in my neck, 4 in my lower back, the sciatica down both my legs, all that stuff. You just get pumped full of stuff. Take 1,200 milligrams of ibuprofen, drink water, do push-ups. That's what you get told in the military. Take ibuprofen, drink water, do push-ups. You'll be fine. And then when you get out, it's the VA. The VA does the same thing. Well, take this med, take this med, take this med. Oh, you got that side effect? Take this. You got that one? Well, let's give you this injection. Let's give you that injection. Well, let's take your spinal cord and fuse everything together. It's crazy.
This medication is causing that problem?
There you go, Zach. Wow. Oh my goodness. These things did that to you? Oh,
yeah.
So when it came to me in 2022 and the VA told me that, listen, your liver, you got a fatty liver and you're dying. What do you mean? Well, the 31 pharmaceuticals were pumping you full every day. The 4 ketamine infusions you're getting every month. The 10 trigger point injections down your spine every single week. And the 10 epidurals. That's part of it. The other part is because of you're getting all of those things, you're completely sedentary because of your injuries and all these things that we give you that totally drive you from your family, that totally drive you into that mental state that you can't move, that you can't go anywhere, that you can't do anything. You're now 350 pounds. Your sedentary lifestyle is what's killing your liver, not the alcohol, because I stopped drinking years ago. I was in total denial when they told me I had liver issues. And when I took back my life by focusing on my gut health, because the other guy that was here talking about it earlier today, your doctor who has 18 other names in front of him.
Oh, yeah.
He was-
Professor, doctor, yeah.
Yeah. And he's got alphabet soup after his name. You know,
Right.
those guys were talking about gut health. Having your gut is your second brain. That's where all our neurotransmitters come from, Zach, is down in our gut. So when I got my gut healthy, I didn't lose my PTSD. I didn't lose my night terrors. I didn't lose my anxiety, my depression, suicide thoughts, all those things. But it got it to the point to where it wasn't 100% the only thing I was thinking about. And the side effect of getting your gut healthy is that your body can now absorb the proper nutrients and vitamins to rebuild, restore, rejuvenate the cells that God created us to be able to do that with. And once you do that, you can deal with the inflammation that's causing the pressure. You can deal with the weight gain that you have. I lost more than 150 plus pounds in a year, Zach, doing the regimen that I did and going down the path that I did because of the ability to absorb the proper nutrients, vitamins, and supplements. It was amazing. It wasn't anything that the VA did. Wasn't anything that they provided, anything that they gave. It was what I had to find on my own because they gave me 6 to 8 months to change my lifestyle or I'd be dead before my son was 10 years old. I could not have that. I could not have that. It destroyed me when I lost my dad at 26. I wasn't going to do that to my son. I gave up smoking. I gave up alcohol. I wasn't giving up on him.
Yep. I love that. I absolutely love that. Thomas, when the hell, in which I got to be honest with you, this is not, yes, the VA is its own animal. We understand that. But you know what? This is pulling into everything when it comes to medical treatments. I'm able to sit there and say, oh my God, this medication is causing this because that's happened to me. I'm able to sit there and go, you know what? I was called a drug seeker because I went in for relief because I couldn't move my freaking neck. And they finally sent me into a pain management specialist who found out my neck was broken 3 years after the accident. We have.
See, the thing that kills me. Go ahead, Zach. Finish.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. I
we
apologize.
have to stop looking for these shortcuts out and finding what is going on. Look, these insurance companies, hey, nobody wants to give away lots and lots of money. Nobody wants to do it, okay? People are dying. And even worse, people are becoming zombies is a terrible word, but it's true. And they just don't give a shit anymore because they hurt.
Yes.
Physically,
and they
mentally, emotionally, they hurt.
They do. You're 100% correct, Zach, on that level. And a lot of listen, I'm not trying to say pharmaceuticals have no place or they're not good. Western medicine saves lives, Zach. We both know that. You and I both know that. We're not here to bash the pharmaceutical industry and tell you that everything is bad for you. But we shouldn't be 100% dependent upon it and surgical intervention as the only two ways that we can survive. They're just not the two things that we were meant as humans to survive on because they didn't exist always. And we had generations of people that survived without them. So the thing is that those other avenues that you can go down, they can't be monetized as well as the other ones can. So that's what I feel why we go down that path so often, so quickly. But just like you said, you were told that you were a drug seeker. Do you know how many of us that get told and put on pain meds at the VA, we then get a letter added to our name. So we have to be drug tested continuously. It follows us, which is horrible. You're doing it to us. You're putting us on there. You're giving us that stuff. And now, because of the opioid epidemic that we went through, These people, when I went through surgery and I was told, hey, we're going to give you some Oxycontins, but you have to sign this waiver and you have to show up for regular scheduled drug testing and drug screening while you're taking them. So I don't take narcotics. You could keep them and shove them where the sun don't shine, because I won't do that. I'll suffer through the pain before I'll take a narcotic. Well, why is that, Mr. Long? Because I was an alcoholic and I have an addictive personality, and you're not going to kill me.
I told my doctor that multiple times. I come from a very addictive family. I've got an addictive personality, and now 30 years later, I'm still on, oxy. What is it? The not oxy. I'm sorry, hydrocodone, acetaminophen, and tramadol.
Okay.
And unfortunately, right now they got me. They got
I
me.
got you.
And
got you.
and they
Listen.
got me because you know what? Every damn time I go in to tell them something, they want to put me on something else, and
Something
it's
else.
like, stop, fix it. I would
Yep.
much rather go through surgery, put my ass in a body cast for a couple weeks, whatever. When I get out, tell me I'm good.
Right.
Make sure I'm good.
Right.
But stop this BS on doing these little things. Let's get this fixed. Let's find what's wrong.
Yeah.
When they went in to cut my shoulder open, the doctor told my wife right there in front of me, yeah, he's going to be out in about 35, 40 minutes. I guess I was under for like 3 hours as they were repairing the ripped cartilage and cutting the straps of my shoulder and doing all the other damage and when I woke up and Adrian told me, I kind of looked at her and go, oh, so I was hurt, huh? Imagine that. Imagine.
Wow.
Holy shit. If I would have only known there was something wrong.
Right. I
you
would
know?
have told you if I would have known.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
So,
glad you figured it out while you were in there.
yeah. It is actually kind of funny, though, when they did repair my broken neck, the first thing I did when I woke up is, holy cow, I can turn my neck. And the nurse was like, don't do that. But I'm like, but you don't understand. I can.
Right.
I was
Right.
able to turn my neck.
Right. And that's the beautiful part of it. And that's what
Yeah.
they didn't understand. And
Yeah.
that's the other thing that kills a lot of us that goes through this, like that, not like kills us, but bothers us, is that so many people tell us what we need and what we need to do and have never experienced or been down the path that we're going down. That doctor has never had a broken neck, but he fixes it and tells you that you're not in pain. But he doesn't know the pain that you're in because he's never been in your situation. That nurse says, don't move your neck because she doesn't want to get in trouble for you experiencing something and getting hurt that she's never been through. She doesn't know that you can move your neck and that it's not going to hurt worse than what it did before it was fixed.
Yeah,
Because
it's like
she's
eating
never
a strawberry sundae. It doesn't happen enough. That's that's the truth. I got to ask you one more question, and then we got to switch segments. Thomas, you and we talked about doing something. I threw an offer out at you. I'm going to bug the hell out of you until you accept it. I'm just
I already
telling you
told
right
you, I
now.
accept.
You got it, man.
We're in.
We've got to put it together. But I want to bring up a point that really makes this feeling stick. John Vogel's one of my very best friends in the world. Okay. I love this man. I love him with all my heart. I know what pain is because John told me what he goes through. He lost his son at 3 years old because his son got out of the house and drowned in the family pond. John told me once something that made the pain real. He told me, Zach, it's like having the worst heartburn you've ever had every day of your life.
Yeah.
What is there anything that you can equate the darkness to?
When I sat there in bed and I wanted to kill myself, I felt responsible for the things that had happened, I remember what I did. Could I have done something different? That regret that you have sometimes when you make the wrong choice of what type of topping you wanted on your pizza, and times it by 1,000, because you don't know what you don't know until you know that you didn't know what was going to happen. And it's not easy to be there alone, because when I say I was there alone, I had people everywhere around me, my wife, a son, my mom, my family, but I was alone. I was sitting there alone in here. And it was all dark. And the only way I can describe it is all these little things talking to you. I'm not trying to say demons. I'm not trying to say leprechauns. I'm not trying to say any of those things. I'm just saying all of those things talking to you and telling you, you did this. You did this. This is your fault. You're responsible. You could have made a choice.
Look
What
what,
did you
you did now.
Yep. Look at what you did. Did you get out of bed today? Did you make a change? Did you make a difference? Did you yell at your wife? Did you yell at your son? Did you scream? Did you lose control? Did you do this? Did you do that? And it starts to compound. And then anxiety of worrying about, oh my God, if I'm around him, I'm going to yell at him. I'm going to hurt his feelings. If I'm around her, I'm going to yell at her. And it just builds and it builds and it builds and it builds. And you feel safer alone. You feel safer, secluded. You think everybody else is safer. You think everybody else is doing better. But you don't even understand or realize the hurt that you're causing them by not being there with them and not getting through what you're getting through, because all you're doing is so focused on you. Because all I can see is that one eye coming out. I can't see anything else.
Thomas, I love you, man.
I love you too, brother. I appreciate it. I appreciate being here. And I appreciate the fact that going through all of this with my fellow veterans from Veteran Biz Connect and being able to bring everybody together across this nation is going to change our community and the way things are done. And I love that I'm working through it with you, brother.
We're going to get this done. Look for bigger and better things to happen with Veteran Biz Connect and Community Pay It Forward, because we're going to make bigger things happen.
2025 is the year that all of this comes out and everybody sees it. God bless, brother. Thank you so much. Continue doing what you're doing. And I hope to be on here again ASAP.
I love you, man.
Love you too, brother.
I'll talk to you later in the week.
Have a great day.
You too. You heard it. Thomas knows, and every single one of them know, that while they're sitting there and they're alone and they're going through that in their head, that they are not the only ones that are going through that. But all they can, like you said, all I can think of is you did this. Time to switch segments, folks. It's time to go into segment 6. So we're going to be shutting this one down. Give me 5 minutes and we're going to pop back up. Just refresh your browser. We're going to pop up in a minute and it's going to be like we never went anywhere, but we went somewhere or something like that. But wow, amazing. We're going to be right back with the 2025 Mission for Healthy Heroes. Please stick with us. You guys are doing great. We got a lot more show to go. A lot more to do. We got a lot of work, folks. We got a lot of work to make this happen. Come back, will you?